Chris Hansen here of Hansen vs. Predators. To catch a predator and have a seat with Chris Hansen, I'm going to need all of you to have a seat right over there because I've been going through some transcripts and there's something you need to know. You're watching TTFT. I'll be watching as well.
Hello? Hello? Hey guys. Has this interview been called off, my friends?
Tony has scared the hell out of me since I was 5 years old with his stone cold demeanor and those Jeffrey Dahmer glasses. I don't think I can do this. This was a mistake.
Well, that's not Tony. That's Andreas. Man, we can't do this shit. It's so unprofessional. We need to get up in our chairs.
Nope, you go. I'm gonna sit this one out.
Fuck no, I'm not going up there by myself.
Why?
Because now he has me fucking scared too.
I can clearly hear the two of you. You might as well come up and join me.
Yeah, let's have Andreas on the show. Come out to the coast, have a couple of laughs in the studio.
I promise I won't hurt you.
Hi, Tony.
Please call me Andreas.
Hi, Andreas.
Cool shirts. So, are we going to do this?
Yippee Ki-yay, motherfucker. What the fuck is up, internet?
How the hell are we already in the 11th month of 2021?
You tell me.
With the holidays right on our asses, we couldn't think of a better film to kick the season off right with than the best Christmas film of all time,
Die Hard. So get your ass down to Nakatomi Plaza. We'll get to it together and we're going to have a great fucking time. Later on, we will be joined by Devereaux White, aka Argyle.
We also have somebody that you may have recognized in the intro of this episode, Mr. Andreas Wisniewski, aka Tony, Mr. Now I Have a Machine Gun.
So make sure you stick around for Cast Crew or You because it's going to be one hell of a ride.
But before we do that, let's show some love to our sponsors at Aimbot Energy.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
All right, it has been a minute since we gave a shout out to our sponsors at Aimbot Energy, so bear with me for just a moment as we knock that out. If you're looking for all natural energy shots that are actually good for you, check out Aimbot Energy. Get clean energy on demand with their pocket-sized test tubes available in a variety of tasty flavors at extremely competitive prices. If you use our promo code TTFT, you get 15% off your order, and we earn 15% off the sale. You can use our personalized URL, aimbotenergy.com/discount/TTFT. If you're spending money on energy supplements, check Aimbot Energy out because you could be supporting our show at no cost to you while getting a better energy product for likely less than whatever you're spending per month on the Red Bulls, Monsters, and all that other shit. It's almost like magic. You send a few bucks our way and get the same amount of a better quality product while somehow spending less than you already are for your routine pick-me-ups. Plus, Aimbot is locally owned and operated right here in Jacksonville, Florida, so you can also feel good about spending your money somewhere that has a direct positive impact on hardworking small business owners and their employees instead of sending it into a vacuum of corporate gluttony where it never really finds a way to trickle down, does it? And if you buy a Monster tomorrow after that logically infallible pitch that I just threw at you, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. aimbotenergy.com/discount/TTFT. Get your shot on. All right, we are about to do our research. There's just one more thing. We understand tight budgets and making things happen on a dime all too well. So, we bring up our Patreon with nothing but respect to whatever your current situation is and absolutely no implied obligation intended whatsoever. You owe us nothing. Now that that has been clearly established, if you are one of those unicorns out there, those beautiful unicorns out there who are in the position to support the show without putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation to any degree at all, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TTFT show, and you will have our deepest gratitude in return for whatever contribution you are comfortably able to send our way. We've also put together perks for our patrons to express that gratitude, and you can check those out at the Patreon page on the screen now and linked in the description of this episode.
Thank you for that, Durden. And that brings us to our next segment. We do our research. We're about to tell you everything we think you need to know about the movie Die Hard. And Durden, take us away now.
So Die Hard was released on Christmas. What the fuck? July 12th?
Sure.
Okay, Die Hard was released in the dead of summer of 1988.
Now, one thing about that year, film released around that time were Cocktail, Monkey Shines,
The Pussy Juice Cocktail,
Caddyshack 2, Arthur 2, On the Rocks, Short Circuit 2, as we call it in the hood, Johnny 10.
A lot of number 2s that month.
Surely was. Big Top Pee-wee, means so much different now as an adult. Midnight Run, A Fish Called Wanda, The Deadpool, not for my MCU fans before Ryan Reynolds, get off my lawn.
Yeah.
License to Drive, and I didn't realize that he didn't realize that The Expendables was a remake, but apparently it is because the original was released in July of 1988.
Die Hard is based on the novel by Roderick Thorpe. This was his second book to be adapted for film, the first one being The Detective, which is actually kind of like a Die Hard in the novel is kind of a sequel to The Detective starring Frank Sinatra, which was released 20 years prior in 1968. The screenplay was written by Jeb Stewart, not that Jeb Stewart, and Stephen E. D'Souza. D'Souza would go on to write Die Hard 2. He actually wrote the first 48 hours in 1982, and Stewart would take that mantle writing another 48 hours in 1990. Stewart also wrote The Fugitive and Fire Down Below with Steven Seagal. And after seemingly taking a decade-long sabbatical from 2010 to 2020, he returned on the TV miniseries The Liberator and is the creator of the TV series Vikings Valhalla, currently in post-production to be released in 2022. D'Souza followed Die Hard up with the 1990 atrocious sequel to the beloved Jim Belushi classic K-9, K-9000.
Now, he'd go on to write the 1994 live-action Flintstones movie. He'd worked with Eddie again, writing Beverly Hills Cop 3. He also penned Street Fighter, which he also directed. Let's not forget Sylvester Stallone in Judge Dredd. And he also wrote the screenplays for the Schwarzenegger classics, Commando, The Running Man. A few years before, if I'm not mistaken, he did all that a few years before working on Die Hard. And last but not least, his last credit to date was in 2012.
Die Hard was directed by John McTiernan, which there is a very complicated and devastating story that follows John McTiernan's personal life that we will not be getting into during this episode. You can look it up if you're interested. I don't want to leave it vague like that and put the implication out there accidentally about something worse than actually happened. So I'll just say it had nothing to do with children or or anything like that. Nothing to do with any of that. But a very interesting story. Something we're not going to get into today because there's way too much to get into about Die Hard. Look that up on the Google if you are interested in finding out more about that story. But let's talk about some of the great films that John McTiernan has made.
In 1987, Predator, just 1 year before Die Hard.
The Hunt for Red October.
Gotta love it. Last Action Hero.
And he'd returned to the Die Hard franchise in 1995 with my second favorite Die Hard film, With a Vengeance.
Sunshine City! He also did Thomas Crown Affair.
And directed a magnificent sexual scene between Pierce Brosnan and Rene Russo.
Is that the name of the film? The delicious scene between Pierce Brosnan and Rachel.
It should have been. More people probably would have went and seen it. The 13th Warrior,
Rollerball,
and Basic, which a portion of that production actually took place right here in Samuel Jacksonville, Florida.
You better know it. Now, in 2003 is when all the bullshit kind of came ahead, and McTiernan has been trying to get back to doing what he loves and what he's clearly gifted at pretty much ever since. He has one film that he's been sitting in pre-production on for quite a while with no updates. Now, beyond that, he's directed some promotional short films for the game Ghost Recon Wildlands in 2017.
McTiernan actually turned Die Hard down several times before accepting the job. He thought it was too nasty. When he came on, he's the one that's responsible for the lighter tone that we see in the final product.
Now, in case you've been living under a rock on planet Earth, Venus, Saturn, Neptune, or wherever, Die Hard stars Bruce Willis as John McClane,
Alan Rickman as Hans Gruber,
Bonnie Bedelia as Holly Gennaro McClane,
Mr. Reginald Bell Johnson as Sergeant Al Powell,
Paul Mess with the Bull and You Get the Horns Gleason, Breakfast Club reference, Dwayne T. Robinson,
and Devara White, aka Day, aka Argyle, who will be joining us later on in this episode.
And let's not forget Andreas himself as Tony, also joining us in a bit, or should I say later on in this episode. Die Hard was in production from November of 1987 until March of 1988. It was filmed primarily at the Fox Plaza, specifically the 29th and 35th floors in Los Angeles, which they did have to get barricaded for some point in time due to people coming by.
On a budget of $28 million, it brought in a little over $600,000 during its opening weekend.
Yippee gotta pay, motherfucker!
Thankfully, it caught on and now boasts a worldwide gross of over $140 million. I know the low opening weekend number is the result of a spread out limited theatrical release. It premiered in Westwood, California on July 12th and then opened in limited theaters on July 15th to be expanded on at the end of July. It was releasing in different places clear until Christmas that year. El Salvador probably had the most optimum timing with it premiering there on December 25th.
Now remember, it didn't actually hit the UK and Japan until early '89. It finally made its way to Czechoslovakia in 1991 and eventually happened in Romania in 1993. God damn. So there are parts of the world that would rightfully call Die Hard a 90s film, but we know better.
And that's more than you need to know, I would say, about Die Hard. But we're going to keep going anyway with some connections.
All right, the king of connections here. All right, do me a favor, sir. You go first.
All right, I got three. So we want to go back and forth?
Back and forth. You.
My first one is Nakatomi. About 1 hour into Bruce Willis's first film, Blind Date, released 1 year before Die Hard, Nakatomi Plaza can be seen out the window of John Larroquette's office. It's like it was calling. It was calling him even a year before.
Right. Well, one of the themes that I really saw connected in this film, and I thought I was wrong. I literally had to go research it more because I just said Tarian, there's nowhere you're right. I kept getting the feeling of Speed while watching this film, and then I figured out why. John DeBont, he's the cinematographer for Die Hard and for Speed. And if you notice from the shaft scenes to the elevator to even some of the military, the SWAT people that are running around, it's so many things like, wait a minute. This has an eerie feel to it, and now you see why. So yeah, the cinematography is the connection between those.
And there's another connection between Jan de Bont and Speed and Die Hard that will come up in the facts as well.
100% correct.
My second connection is not really an explanation here. It's more of a verbal diagram. So in Die Hard, you have Paul Gleason.
We don't know shit, pal.
Who is, of course, in Breakfast Club as well. Paul Gleason seems to constantly be going against wise-ass rebels, class clown types. In Die Hard, he gets John McClane. In Breakfast Club, he gets John Bender.
You just bought yourself another Saturday, mister. Crushed.
So he's got a thing with wise-ass Johns giving him a hard time.
Kick ass.
I see what you did there.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I love is that, well, speaking of him, one of the other persons he was belittling and getting into it with was Al, Mr. Johnson himself. When he says, and I think he might be a cop. He's like, well, what gave you that idea, pal? He was like, the things he said about being able to spot a fake ID. Jesus Christ, pal.
He could be a fucking bartender for all we know.
Well, wouldn't you know it, before Bruce Willis got into acting, he was actually a bartender.
Was he?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
I did. So that's the line about being able to spot fake ID was really about a cop, but they threw that line in there and he actually was a bartender. Why are you writing that down? Are you making a little note to go back and check me on this?
No, I'll check it in post. My last one is now this is kind of like you. When I was watching this movie, I felt like you because I kept seeing dicks. And when I say dicks, I actually mean Johnsons.
I'm Agent Johnson. This is Special Agent Johnson.
So you have the federal agents,
Johnson
the two
and Johnson, no relation,
that are with the real Vel Johnson. But this is the connection that I brought up earlier that I said was you'd appreciate. So Johnson and Johnson.
Yes.
In the movie, not unlike reality now, Johnson & Johnson comes as an imposing federally assigned attempt at a solution greeted with skepticism over its effectiveness or ineffectiveness.
Johnson, that's crazy. It's Christmas Eve, man. There's thousands of people.
You have to go wider.
That's not to say anything.
No relation.
It just is what it is, and we're recognizing it.
Well, I'm glad.
Not taking a stance one way or another about the effectiveness of anything.
I'm just glad their scenes didn't get recalled.
I am Switzerland.
There you go. Boom.
Authorization. How about the United States fucking government?
My last one here would be Mr. Of course, the irony of Mr. Reginald Van Johnson here, Al, if we will, he's giving advice to John McClane about family. Ironically, he goes on to play the father in Family Matters, who is a cop. So clearly he's just been a clinical cop psychologist for his entire life. And the crazy part about that is, we'll get into it later, is that I pseudo believe that what truly did happen, if you notice in the film, I'll save it.
I had an accident.
I'll save it for theories.
And I'll expand upon it.
I bet you will. All right.
Let's get into... This is called 10 Things. 10 Things You Didn't Know About Die Hard.
There could have been 100, but we narrowed it down, of course, till 10. Dave, take us away with number 10. Does it have my letter next to it?
That's you.
I figured, you fucker. Ho, ho, ho. Number 10. In 2018, 20th Century Fox formally admitted that Die Hard was, and always will be a Christmas movie, after stating that it has been the greatest Christmas story ever told. In a trailer created to mark the 30th anniversary of the film's release, thus ending the much debate over 3 decades.
This is their idea of Christmas. I gotta be there for New Year's.
And I love that they referred to it as that, because that's a dig on Jesus.
What's that mean?
To say that Die Hard is the greatest Christmas story ever told. Number 9, alternative titles. How about some alternative titles? You're gonna fucking love this.
Go for it.
All right. In Spain, Die Hard was known as Crystal Jungle. These will get progressively more ridiculous as we go, and they are all real. In Poland, it was The Glass Trap.
The Pipe.
In Portugal, it's Skyscraper Heist. Sounds like a movie that The Rock would be in.
Or Liam Neeson.
Yes. Die Hard didn't translate well to other languages, coming out as things like, it is hard to kill him, or he dies slowly. In Finnish, it's only over my dead body.
I actually like that title. He dies slowly.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I'm gonna fuck everybody else, but he dies slowly. We gotta do something with that. Keep going.
The Hungarian title is Give Your Life Expensive. And the sequel was called Your Life is Even More Expensive, leading to part 3, Life is Always Expensive. And for me, those titles are the winner. They don't have anything to do with the movie, but they
resonate with my wallet.
Yeah. Patreon.com, TTFT show. In Serbia, Croatia, and Bosnia, it's Die Like a True Man, or Die Manly. And there was a 1988 pirated VHS from that region that used the title Sell Your Skin at a High Price? What the fuck?
Sounds like Epidermis Games.
Yeah, that's on that note. There's
Yeah. Yeah, but just okay. All right. Okay, so with that being said, number 8, inspirations. Ode to Joy. John McTiernan suggested Beethoven's Ode to Joy be the musical theme for the terrorists, alleged terrorists anyway. Die Hard's composer, Michael Kamen, thought it was sacrilegious to put Beethoven in an action film. He would not agree with, what's our guy who always likes to put the different music, Tarantino. He would definitely not agree with him. All right, McTiernan explained his inspiration was that Ode to Joy was used as the theme for the ultra-violence in A Clockwork Orange. Kamen, being a fan of Kubrick, conceded, making Die Hard the second film that Alexander Godunov would star in that ended with the ditty. Damn it, man. Fuck you. I'm starting this one over. Fuck you.
I'll be missing.
Fuck you. All right, 3, 2, 1. Watch me rock this bitch. Ode to Joy. John McTiernan suggested Beethoven's Ode to Joy be the musical theme for the terrorists, alleged terrorists, that is. Die Hard's composer, Michael Kamen, thought it was sacrilegious to put Beethoven in an action film. McTiernan explained his inspiration was that Ode to Joy was used as the theme for the ultra-violence in A Clockwork Orange. Kamen, being a fan of Kubrick, conceded, making Die Hard the second film that Alexander Godunov would star in that ended with that ditty itself, the first being The Money Pit, released just a year prior.
A late December Night's Nightmare. The book and the original script had the events in the story actually unfolding over the course of 3 days. John McTiernan drew inspiration from Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream when making the call to have the film take place in a single night, which I think it was a good decision. It's almost like watching something transpire in real time, which added a whole other element to it.
Like Tenet?
Did that happen in real time?
I don't know what time that happened in. All right, John McCarbray. Bruce Willis drew inspiration from real-life police officers. Willis noticed that many of them relied on McCarbray's sense of humor to handle their difficult jobs. This was something that he factored into his performance as John McClane.
And daddy issues. Rumors have it that Die Hard author Roderick Thorpe drew inspiration from his father for the character of Hans Gruber. Sounds like a great guy.
Trust me.
Number 7, moonlighting. Bruce Willis was literally, pun intended, moonlighting during the making of Die Hard, shooting his television series, Moonlighting, simultaneously with the Die Hard production. The resulting exhaustion that overcame him is why we got more characters that became fleshed out, like Al Powell, Ellis, Argyle, and who can forget Thornburg.
Tell me you got that.
Of course, giving them more screen time, relieving Bruce of some of the weight of carrying them in the film, which I actually think worked better because they got to develop these characters. Number 6, fake feet for real flames, real ride. All right. In the scene where McClane runs through the shards of glass in his bare feet, if you look very closely, you'll notice that they look slightly off or abnormally large. Well, McClane was wearing special rubber shoes that were designed to look like his bare feet. However, they were not. So the feet were fake. But according to John McTiernan, a majority of the exterior shots of explosions were real. Full-scale kabooms getting set off on and around in the actual building. Another thing that was real, Bruce Willis was riding on top of that elevator.
For real.
Yes.
All right.
Kind of reminds you of the scene from Speed, but go ahead again.
Or the flip that and reverse it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, either way. I mean, yeah, definitely.
And I saw something also that there's at least one elevator sequence in every installment of the Die Hard franchise.
This is very true.
Number 5.
What? I don't want to tell you because then you're going to say something. I'll say except the other one.
You talking about McClane? Let's go. Number 5, casting. Producer Joel Silver and director John McTiernan were confident that they found their Hans Gruber after attending a performance of the play Dangerous Liaisons, in which Alan Rickman played an evil antagonist. Die Hard would become Rickman's first film role, and he almost didn't accept it, not wanting his first role to be an action film villain. And to his credit, the menacing antagonist roles did seem to follow him through the majority of his career.
This is funny. I felt like I talked to some guy named Andreas who said, you'd be crazy to turn down your first role because you're playing a villain. Okay, Hans. All right, only a couple of the actors portraying the German terrorists or alleged terrorists were actually German, and a few more could handle speaking broken German.
Ironically enough, Bruce Willis, who is sneered at by the Germans for being all-American, is more German than most of the Germans. Alan Rickman, English. Alexander Godunov, Russian. Bruce Willis, born in West Germany, out of the vag of a German woman.
The beautiful part about that is in Germany, when they do their American dub part of it, they give all the German terrorists American names. So Payback was on them, bitch.
Who said we were terrorists?
All right, Bonnie Bedelia.
Talking about playing both sides.
Oh, who?
Yeah. They're the bad guys. No, they're the bad guys.
But it's all green, baby. It's all green. Now, Bonnie Bedelia was cast as McClane's wife at the suggestion of Bruce Willis after seeing her in the 1983 film Greatest Year Ever, Heart Like a Wheel. Now, if you didn't know this, other considerations included Linda Hamilton, my favorite, still got it to this day. You can... Beetlejuice, Miss Gina Davis, Deborah Winger, Michelle Pfeiffer, Jamie Lee Curtis, Halloween, and Kirstie Alley, and Kelly McGillis.
Originally, Clint Eastwood actually owned the rights to the novel that Die Hard was based on. He planned to star in and direct the film in the early 80s, but eventually backed out to make the Deadpool.
Bobby De Niro was offered the role of McClane before Bruce Willis, but he turned it down. Now, Willis just turned down a role in Midnight Run, which ironically ended up going to Charles Grodin, opposite De Niro. Now, both films opened up the same weekend, if you did not know.
Nick Nolte was offered the role before Robert De Niro. Nolte was actually the first one offered the role of McClane, and other considerations of the role of McClane included literally every actor available except for Bruce Willis: Richard Gere, Al Pacino, Burt Reynolds, Paul Newman, Sylvester Stallone, Harrison Ford, Tom Berenger, John Travolta, Mel Gibson, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Charles Bronson, Don Johnson, Richard Dean Anderson, and Michael Madsen. Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and Willis would actually go on to star together in The Expendables, again, a remake of the film that was released the same month and year as Die Hard. So that's pretty neat. I would say I think that Michael Madsen would have, out of all of them, if it weren't going to be Bruce Willis, Michael Madsen could have pulled it off to an equal degree of success that Willis did.
Mickey Rourke ain't want none of that?
I don't think Mickey Rourke had the vulnerability to him.
Oh, okay. He does now.
Yeah. Due to a weird contractual ballyhoo, Frank Sinatra actually had to get first dibs for the role of John McClane. Again, like we said, the original movie that Die Hard, the novel, was a sequel of, starred Frank Sinatra. So that contractual ballyhoo was he had first dibs on that role if it was ever come around again. Turns out he was 73.
So technically that would have been an apropos title, Die Hard.
Yeah, he turned it down. I would love to see a 73-year-old Frank Sinatra making his way through the go ahead.
Now, a lot of the fans of the film may not know, George Takei was all set to play the role of Takagi. He was so excited to do it. This goes to show you when you have fucked up representation, it can fuck your life up. McTiernan really wanted him, but Takei's agent got things mixed up. So I don't even think that's his agent anymore. But with that being said, Takei was not happy about that. But hey, it still went to a great guy that did a great job.
Yeah.
And of course, don't forget now, Sam Neill turned down the role of Hans. But we'll get into that later.
And number 4. Course correcting. In film production, much like in a great deal of many other things, a primary determinant factor in the success of your pursuits is your ability to adapt, evolve, and resolve when problems, accidents, or other curveballs will inevitably present themselves. And Die Hard, not unlike its protagonist, definitely took some hits and kept swinging. The scene where McClane falls down a shaft was actually the result of a mistake that the stuntman made. He was supposed to grab the first vent, but slipped and fell, so they kept the shot and grabbed an insert of Willis as McClane grabbing the next vent down as he was falling.
A lot of people may not know, screenplay tweaks were happening throughout the entire production, resulting in much of the film being improvised. Go figure, such a classic like that being improvised. Now, the hero of the film wasn't even fully fleshed out until nearly halfway through the production, with John McTiernan and Bruce Willis deciding that McClane would be a man who didn't like himself very much, but was doing the best he could in a bad situation.
Gotta love Bruce Willis.
You got to. Now, once again, rest in peace to the iconic legend himself. Mr. Alan Rickman injured his leg on the first day of shooting and was instructed not to put any weight on his leg for a week. So in the scenes where Gruber first runs into McClane, Rickman stood on one leg for most of the scene and actually wearing a leg brace underneath his pants.
I can do this on one leg. Technically, this mishap was turned into something productive for a future film, but Die Hard cinematographer Jan de Bont was trapped in a lift during the shooting of Die Hard. This would later inspire the opening scene of Speed, which de Bont also directed. And then, of course, there is the infamous invisible ambulance that serves as a good example for sometimes you just have to say fuck it, apply the best band-aid you can, and move on, because shit's gonna happen, but a film still has to get done.
What the fuck is going on?
All right, guys, random trivia. 17, and that's right, 17 tank tops at various stages of degradation were on hand for Bruce Willis throughout the production. Now, in 2007, Willis donated one of the shirts to the Smithsonian Museum.
On top of the 17 shirts, Bruce Willis, being practically unknown as a movie star and totally unheard of as an action lead, received a $5 million fee to star in Die Hard. This was beyond the norm of that time.
Yes, it was. Now, the scene where McClane and Gruber first meet was shot unrehearsed to contribute to the feeling of spontaneity between the actors. Now, there's a flip side to that coin, as Reginald VelJohnson and Bruce Willis, not unlike their characters in the film, did not meet until the end of the movie, which I'm sure we will be discussing later. Also, with that being said, John McClane has always been Bruce Willis's favorite role. Go figure.
Yippee Ki-yay Motherfucker was voted number 96 out of the 100 greatest movie lines by Premiere Magazine in 2007. The line appears in all 5 Die Hard films, even the PG-13 cut of 2007's Live Free or Die Hard, with a gunshot being used to mask the fucker part. It does exist unmasked in the uncut version of the film, though. Fun fact, in Urdu, the line is translated to, "Here, eat this." Unfun fact, McTiernan thought the line should be Yippee Ki-yay. In the edited TV version of the film, the famous line is changed to Yippee Ki-yay Melon Farmer.
And it was Melon Farmer. It was, and also a Mr. Falcon out there.
Mr. Falcon.
I promise it does. All right. The addresses and phone numbers shown on the LAPD dispatcher's computer for the Nakatomi Plaza management are the real numbers for the management of Fox Plaza. Bet you they won't do that again.
If you call them now, you'll reach Disney. The mouse is picking up.
The mouse is in charge of the house.
And the airplane in the opening scene is just being towed around in circles. Also kind of like Speed. Yeah.
Already seen the airport.
Yeah. Oh, shout out to Beth Grant.
Die Hardly. In 2017, Die Hard was selected for the preservation of the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant.
And finally, number 1, Only Over My Dead Body. There were talks of an intriguing 6th installment to the franchise called McClane, based on the comic of the same name. The main piece of trivia that can be found on the project's IMDb page reads, "The story takes place on New Year's Eve, 1979, although Bruce Willis will be playing present-day John McClane, as he is now around 60 and can't play his younger self unless they, pull a Irishman on him. I hope they don't.
Please don't.
The movie will therefore switch between scenes from 1979 and present day. Willis has already stated that this film is better than the first, and that's a lot to say. And that it's the first real sequel to Die Hard, which was the only really good one. Unfortunately, Fox owns Die Hard. Now Disney owns Fox, and the mouse said, "Only over my dead body," and it was finished.
Yeah.
Yep. And those are a lot of fucking facts about Die Hard. Eat that, movies that made us. And let's move on to talking during the movie. First up, theories. Hear me out.
All right, now, this is what I want to say. I'm just going to get straight to the point. What I believe truly happened here was this. If you notice that Al says that John's like, "What's going on, Al? Did you got something wrong with your feet?" Something like that. He was like, nah, I shot a kid.
I shot a kid.
All right, we're the lead there, okay? Man, so when he says that, it was so devastating to him it took him off the street. So he was just doing that. And so my thing is, if we notice in the movie, he kills Carl. But what I think happened, like no one reactivated him. He just pulled out his gun and killed him. So my theory was he was still not over killing the kid, and now he's killed Carl, so he couldn't bring the kid back or Carl. So the best thing he can do was move to Chicago and take Carl's name and become an officer to avenge him for avenge everything he did wrong. That's my theory. And furthermore, he still wasn't done. I know the kid he killed. His daughter from the first season of Family Matters. I told you. I was coming, big boy. So that is my theory.
I promised I would expand upon that.
Dude, go ahead, please.
That's
very astute.
Yeah.
You got some
you gotta give me a moment to collect the pieces of myself off the ground, because I didn't see that one coming. That's good. You failed to mention it was your own goddamn daughter.
Right, sick bastard.
You weren't even working when it happened. You was just at your house.
Right, he tells you at the beginning. That's why he had the other kid. He's like, my wife's pregnant, because he killed the other kid. He had to make another one. Welcome, brother.
I'm gonna take that and kind of spin it into a little bit of a different direction.
Okay.
Still with Family Matters, Carl Winslow. I like to think that one evening, Carl Winslow hugged Laura and Eddie, gave Harriet a kiss, went to work, and next thing you know, he's being shot up by John McClane after a dead terrorist falls from the sky. And I would have given anything if when he looked up, instead of John McClane saying, "Welcome to the party," he said, "Did I do that?" Die Hard is not only a Christmas film, it is also a love story at its core, and I would argue a love story more than anything else. The writer, Jeb Stewart, was experiencing a bit of writer's block with Die Hard until he had a near-death experience shortly after a fight with his wife. After the close call, it dawned on him that had he died, he would have never been able to apologize to his wife. This inspired him to demonstrate clear motivations between John and Holly McClane's characters. They are a couple trying to reunite after a fight. That's what makes McClane one of the coolest action heroes. He's just stuck in a situation that is preventing him from getting to the woman he loves. He's not some action hero that's trying to save the day or save the world, although he would become that in future iterations of the series. In this original one, he is just a guy that is trying to make things right with his wife, and this fucking terrorist heist is getting in the way, so he has to solve this problem so he can address the bigger problem, which is his marriage. And to add to the love story element of it, I think it's probably one of the best buddy cop bromance relationships established in any action film, or really any other genre for that matter.
Better than Cop Out.
Oh yeah. No. Hell no. Those are the theories.
All right, let us know what you think, please, down in the comments. Hell, this is a live chat. Use it.
And now we can openly discuss Die Hard.
All right, we're going to now openly discuss Die Hard here. This is just the openly discuss. We're not into the scenes or the.
Did you hear that?
That's me.
It sounds like it's here.
Oh, no, it's here. That's what she said. All right, I haven't dropped one of those in a while. All right, okay, give me 1 second here. All right. Now, one of the things that I first noticed about the movie was that watching it now as an adult is so nostalgic, because the first thing you see is him reach up when he's getting off the plane, and the guy sees the gun. He's like, "Oh, I'm a cop." Like, yeah, bitch, after 9/11, nobody wants to hear that shit. If you're not an air marshal, you're going to be on a no-fly list for the rest of your fucking life. You're not bringing a gun onto a plane nowadays. So that, to me, going back and watching it, yeah, you can't do that anymore.
Oh, that whole opening sequence on the plane was, it's just masterful storytelling. That's the first note that I have, too. Like, one of the very first lines is the dude suggesting to McClane,
"Take off your shoes and your socks,"
which was like beautiful foreshadowing. It meant nothing in that moment, but it would be like one of the biggest elements of the movie.
Mm-hmm. And he actually does it, though.
You see what he's like, man, this
he
motherfucker.
regrets it. But then in that moment, it also, like, they do such a effective job of establishing so much with so little in such a little amount of time. It also establishes his fear of heights.
You don't like flying, do you?
What gives you that idea?
Which is like nicely upping the stakes for with what's to come, making everything he does more badass. And on top of that, the brilliance of the subtle setups that happen in those first opening acts with Holly putting the family picture face down and using a different last name. Like, in that moment, it makes perfect sense why she's doing that. She's having, there's issues with the marriage. So we don't even think any more about it than that. But those two little details come into play so much in order to delay Gruber realizing that one of his hostages is extremely valuable, being McClane's wife. And so, you know, that was just like little things like that made Die Hard such a smart action film.
What I really liked about it as well here, and as we're going to talk about later with Argyle's character as well, he did that as well. He's one of the parts of setting up what Bruce Willis's mindset, or should I say John McClane's mindset was in the film from the beginning, saying, hey, you only brought one bag, asking all those questions. He's already like, man, look, I don't even know how this shit's gonna go. You're asking me shit like, you always ask all these questions, Argyle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
down to the improvised line, which we'll get into, but the fact that one of his improvised lines served to set the character and everything, it goes to show that John McTiernan created a really productive set as far as telling a good story and developing strong characters.
One of the major things I think nowadays people do TV and film and TV interchangeably, and they're pretty much looked at the same for the most part. If anything, somehow TVs have become more allegedly harder than film now because having to keep up stuff over and over. But with that being said, back in the day, in the late 80s and early 90s, it was looked at as a step down if you came from film to TV, and definitely a step up if you went from TV to film. So another one of the challenges with this film and what makes it so unique is Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman, both Rickman coming from theater and Bruce coming from moonlighting the TV show. And when they first showed the test audiences the trailers for the film, they thought it was a joke. They saw Bruce Willis and they thought it was a fucking joke. I mean, who wouldn't think like that didn't make sense to them? But there's a term going around now where people say make it make sense, and they did that with Die Hard. They made it make sense, and it spun off countless other genres trying to do what this genre just did with the everyday man.
Is it Nagasaki?
Yeah.
That's the bomb.
No, you're talking about the Nakatomi.
Nakatomi. Okay, yeah. That actually led to why the Nakatomi Plaza building is so iconic to the movie, because they were so hesitant to put Bruce Willis out there. They didn't even include him on the original poster.
Right, so just the Nakatomi building.
Yeah.
Right, and then after they saw the money, they were like, hey, let's reshoot some posters, have some fun, come out to the coast.
For as much greatness as Bruce Willis brought to the role in that movie, he got no love. Like, they had no faith in him. They had the faith, but when there was the test audiences laughing, like they're never going to take him even
serious.
In the casting process, you saw the list of people that they were like,
all right, get Bruce, man.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I don't know how, after all of that and the lack of faith even after the fact, one of these things are not like the others. They also paid him more money than
$5 million. Yeah. No, it's because they had already probably been given a budget and they had to spend it.
Yeah, that's true.
One thing I want to note that
because they knew that if they couldn't get him at this point, every other male lead has said no already.
You'll say yes to this. Let's not forget, again, the year was 1988. Gas was fucking 74 cents a gallon on the West Coast. 74 cents.
Do you remember how much gas was when you were in senior high?
Dude, it couldn't have been more than $1.90, man.
I can tell you what it was.
What was it?
It was when I was in senior high, which would have been when you were in senior high. It was 99 cents. It had just went to $1.01, and everybody was flipping out because it went into the first time triple digits as far as.
And all of a sudden, $5 wasn't enough for gas money no more.
Yeah.
You used to be able to get the fucking out of town on fucking gas money there. One of the other things that I saw here, this is probably my last one of the things, I mean, not my, scenes and stuff like that, but as far as just talking points about the film itself, is that I always like to give Guinness Book of World Records. The Guinness Book of World Records for the fastest character development of a douchebag in history with Ellis. You are not even 2 minutes from meeting this motherfucker, and that little one take scene where he follows her and tries to before you even get there, tries to ask her out, and he will not break eye contact with her. He's following over there. I was kind of thinking some caviar, some wine, bearskin rug. Basically, would you like to get on this dick this weekend is what he is saying. And from that alone came every sexual harassment work video that has ever been made from that scene.
Yeah, I have right here in my notes, Ellis is such a piece of shit. He is such an arrogant, slime ball piece of shit. Like, he's essential to the movie because every good action film where people are going to die needs that one person that the audience is like, okay, I identify with the villain as far as this guy go.
Kill this motherfucker has to go.
Yes, please.
No, hold on. What is it? Your death is more expensive. He dies slowly. So whatever the lines we were reading earlier.
And that, speaking of Ellis, I thought this was really a really brilliant, subtle touch that went like way under the radar. So you get that like brief moment where it cuts into his office and you see him doing the bump, whatever, coke. And then there's this, when he's sitting in there, when he's like bullshitting with McClane, trying to be, arrogantly saying,
and that just ain't gonna happen until you stop messing up the works, capiche?
Blah, blah, blah. The dude brings him in a cup of Coca-Cola. The way he looked at that, it is such like a subtle implication that before that scene, before we came into that scene, he had asked that guy to go get him some Coke. Like, can I get you anything? Yeah, I could use some Coke. And this motherfucker brought back a soda. And the way he looked at that cup, he was like, that's not what the fuck I meant, but I'll drink it.
I didn't even think about that. Or to look at it like, how dare you have the audacity just to ask these motherfuckers to get you something? Because I think when they brought it in, he did some shit like, look at me. He was like, I think while he was talking, he did this. But my point to what you just said was, after the one of the things I thought was funny, I don't know if it was intended, the last thing he did before he died was have a Coke and a smile. He took the Coke, he smiled, and then they blew him the fuck away.
Yeah.
Have a Coke and a smile. Damn.
Props to the stunt coordinator. This is a well-known story, but the shot of Gruber falling, if you don't know, the stunt coordinator,
he went and licked the weapon on him.
Yeah, he told him. Yeah, he said, we're gonna give you a 1-2-3 or a 3-2-1, whichever way they went. Either way, they did it on the first, and they let him go. So it was unexpected. So what it resulted in was this amazing visceral reaction and expression on his face it's real. And if anything in that movie stuck with me, it is that part is just like his expression is so like powerful and authentic that it actually makes you feel the fear that he's experiencing in that moment. And it's kind of like abruptly startling after everything, because it's in an action film, that moment is kind of horrific to see his face.
With 100% everything you just said. I've only seen that face one other time in my entire life. One other time.
Where?
Leroy, Vin Rames, people under the stairs when they let that dog loose on his ass. That's the same look, brother. Fear is real.
Yeah.
Can we get a side by side?
And
scene.
Of course, Hans Gruber, played by Alan Rickman, starred in Harry Potter with Dumbledore, who also took a deadly spill, we could say, to his death. The last note that I have isn't even it's nothing profound. It's just an observation. Al Powell. Who the fuck came up with this combination of names? This doesn't sound like a name. It sounds more like a sound effect than an actual words that would be a name. Al Powell.
No, I think it was
Al Powell.
Okay, I like that. Now I want a shirt with Reginald Van Johnson name face on it saying Al Powell. I was going to say it sounded like more like two people on the production crew or somebody like, we're going to get our names in the movie somehow. They just combine two writers' names. I don't know. We have to look that up. But yeah. So, hey, guys, those were just a few talking points, if you will. But hey, where are we going at next, Durden?
Let's Cast Die Hard.
All right, guys. Again, if you've never seen this show, this is our general part of the show where we do the swap, and we respect any type of swap any type of body wants to make. It's my theory of what a character, who we want to see in these roles. And so, how many did you do?
I did McClane, Gruber, and
Al Pal.
I shot a kid.
Al Pal. All right, go with Al Pal first. Who would you see? Want to see?
All right. When I no. I know what you're thinking. I know what, I want to
roll
say,
that beautiful bean footage.
This it is Forrest Whitaker, but it is sincerely Forrest Whitaker. I could not think of anybody else that could bring the wholesome, friendly, positive demeanor to that character like Val Johnson did, other than like Forrest Whitaker. And I did it to myself that I can't be taken seriously even when I'm trying to.
I had an accident.
I'm not gonna let you do this to me. I'm not gonna let you do this to me. Okay. Al Pal. Do you ever remember a show called Rock?
No.
Charles S. Dutton.
Okay. I can't appreciate that now, but I will when I'm cutting it.
You will. I'm just trying to see if I can live time show you his.
Is he in anything else?
Yeah, he's in
The name rings
Boys
a
in
bell.
the Hood. He's in Boys in the Hood. He has a bald head.
Does he have more comic books than a motherfucker?
Nah, here we go. I know this is not good for screen time, but I just wanted you to see his face. I know as soon as you see his face, you know what I was talking about.
Oh shit! Yeah, man.
I said Rock, motherfucker.
Forrest Whitaker's brother.
All right, here we go. Now,
Forrest Whitaker after he got his eyes corrected.
So we all look alike to you?
No, but tell me that.
Put it on the screen. Let live chat. Is David a racist or not? Now.
Let's not play this game.
Want to play a game? Go ahead, sir. Go with Mr. Earthman.
Gruber, and I challenge you to cast this better than I have. Christoph Waltz.
Damn you, man. Okay, you're gonna put me on the spot. See, now I'm gonna have to change mine because that is very, 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 very good. Oh man, that is Paul Bateman.
Yeah, I can see that. Although he would be better at playing Gruber's brother in Die Hard with a Vengeance.
He surely would. It's really the hair. It's just really the hair. But yeah, I can definitely see that. Or hold on, you know what? Hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. Even though he would be played better. Okay, and let's get down to the McClane. Who is Mr. John McClane?
Before I say who could replace John McClane, again, Michael Madsen would have been a nice call for one of their considerations, but it must be prefaced that this almost feels like blasphemy to even suggest anybody other than Bruce Willis for that character, because it's just almost impossible to imagine anybody doing that. He is John McClane.
I'm not the one who just got butt fucked on national TV, Dwayne.
But if Bruce Willis didn't exist, I would love to see Timothy Oliphant. And I think he could pull off that wittiness.
That was supposed to be my fucking Hans. I wanted Oliphant to be Hans.
He's totally McClane, especially once you watch Justified. For fans of Justified out there. Well, even more so with Justified, because he's got that same kind of like, somebody could be holding a gun to his head and he would still be like talking shit and being a wise ass. Like, he has that same kind of demeanor where even if he's nervous on the inside, he's still like a class clown on the outside. It's impossible for him to de-escalate any situation. He always ramps things up, whatever he's involved in. So yeah, I think Timothy, I would love to see that.
Just for I feel like I did get to see it, and I'm gonna say this because I couldn't have recast it, but I felt like I did get to see it. Keanu Reeves, basically Speed. I felt like if he could have pulled off John McClane. Because he's not too big of a guy. You can't be or Adrian Brody. You can't be that big of a guy, but more so him over Brody. But yeah, I'm gonna go Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, I don't know if I could see him like yelling and being as aggressive as Bruce Willis. That aggression, that anger that Bruce Willis brought to the character, or that the cynicism. Like Keanu Reeves is
or if I can avert, then feel me on this, as I know he could do it. Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It would be a slightly different. I would probably be more comedic than what we got with
I don't
Bruce
think
Willis,
so. I don't think so.
Well, he could do dark, but in that movie, I think he would have had a little bit more fun with it than Bruce Willis did.
Yeah. Our guy from Con Air.
Nicolas Cage?
No.
Oh, John Malkovich.
Yes. We're having fun now.
I could not imagine John Malkovich being the hero.
Look, as Cyrus the Virus, though. John Malkovich as Cyrus the Virus as John McClane. I know it's weird, but you just or I guess he would have been Alan Rickman.
Yeah, he could definitely pulled off Alan Rickman for sure.
Wow, well, guys, the live chat should be popping now. So, guys, let us know what you think. Those are ours, and hey, see if you can one up us.
And now it is time for 7 Minutes in Heaven.
And
we're going to kick off 7 Minutes in Heaven with our favorite scenes.
Let's just get started from the beginning. Like, I mean, I understand it was the 80s and all, but look, I got to get drug tested to take get a job I want now, or just from like a piss test. So the boss rolls in on Ellis, and Ellis, I titled this Coke. What Coke?
Ellis. I was just making a call.
I was making a call. No phone in his hand at all. And then he just brushes like $40 worth of Coke off the dresser and was like, hey, what's up? And his boss seemed all too unconcerned, which let you know back in the days, business was business. Then whether yellow, black, or white, up your nose is right. The 80s loved the little money of the world.
Like what's his name said in the 10, the 80s. Am I right?
Right, that's all here. Am I right? Like,
yeah. Did I let a few sailors go down on me? Sure. It's 80s.
I got to go back and watch that again, and I forgot that motherfucker said that. Go ahead.
All right, my first, I'm not
numbers,
numbered, but it can't be my second one.
You don't see color, but you see numbers. What kind of sick fuck are you?
Now I have a machine gun. And I know it's cliche because it is one of the best moments in the movie, obviously, but I'm going to expand on why I think that is such a badass moment.
It's the scene, not the actual line you're going for, right?
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, we are in scenes.
No, I was making sure.
It's so badass because McClane is taunting them when he is clearly outnumbered, outgunned, outshooed. Still talking shit though, and this is like it's so true to his character, and it's what makes his character so awesome is that even when he is down, he doesn't give up, and he doesn't even like give the people that are putting him down the satisfaction of knowing that they're winning. Like he is just a smartass until the end. The insert shot of Holly when this happens is everything. It ups the badassness of the scenes so much because there's something about like whenever you do something awesome or badass, it makes it even better and more satisfying if there's an audience there to experience it. And then it even adds to that satisfaction even more when somebody in that audience is the woman whose affection you're trying to win back. That moment where fucking Ella says something's wrong, Holly says something's wrong. Ella says, "What's that?" And she goes,
"John."
And she says it with this
John,
this smile, like showing that she is clearly impressed by what her man is doing, and that like we feel like. We're experiencing this through her perception of like, oh man, this dude is awesome. And then it's also a great scene because once again it raises the stakes even more, because not only is he antagonizing a small army of terrorists, but Tony is Carl's brother. So now it's a personal revenge story. McClane will stop at nothing to save his wife from Gruber, and now Carl will stop at nothing to kill McClane to avenge his brother's death.
I want to
blood, you'll have it.
A theme that will return with a vengeance when Simon, Peter Gruber,
spoiler alert,
takes aim at McClane with a vengeance.
Okay.
Yeah, they just did a really good job because it could have just been on the surface a heist film and a cop trying to stop terrorists and terrorists trying to evade the cop. But they added so many more elements to it to make it an emotional experience instead. Like there's, it's just really good.
One other thing about that scene is that if you notice, that's the first time that you see Hans Gruber, Alec Rickman, not in control. This is the first time something happens that's not supposed to happen. You even see in his reaction when the lady screams, you're like, what is the bitch doing? Like, they obviously didn't tell him a lot about the movie because when that lady screamed, he gets up and he runs over. He's like, don't let them see this. Yeah. He is such a control freak. And the reason why I say that, prior to that, literally, he walked, first off, one of the greatest entrances in the world. They get backed up in the truck, and then he walks in like some badass Michael Jackson video. He has his little posse with him and shit. But when he walks in, and first off, they get off the elevator. Those guys with the machine guns get off as if like, no one's gonna see us. Like, bitch, you. But my point is this: they get out, and all you hear is chaos for like 20 seconds, and it cuts back to him, and you see him looking in his little book. He's like, "All right, everybody, calm down." Like, what do you mean, calm down? Like, oh, you're a different type of villain. So to me, it was all about him being in control. So like that was pretty crazy to me. So again, I do have that down there.
When McClane meets Hans face to face.
Oh yes,
there's such a brilliant setup to put the pieces in place so that you have it to where the main hero, the main villain, can have a face to face exchange without the hero knowing that he is right there with him.
You're one of them.
Please, God, no, you're one of them, aren't you?
And then it plays into this like the brilliant
cat and mouse game.
Yeah. Like,
Can I say it?
Yeah.
Play.
Bill, play.
Like McClane is so smart. You're thinking like, it's him. Don't fall for this. And all along he was suspecting it because he handed him an unloaded gun. And as soon
even before that, he handed him a cigarette to see how he was going, not to see how he was going to hold, but he saw how he held the cigarette. Like, wait a minute, North American held this. He was like, so he's like, oh, no. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's I got one more. I got one more scene that really stood out to me. When he uses the fire hose to blast off the top of the building as it explodes to break through a window and land back in the building and then almost be dragged out to death by the same hose that just saved him. It was such an awesomely choreographed sequence, and the attention to character development is what made that moment even more powerful than it would have been just in itself. The fact that it establishes early on that McClane has this fear of heights just makes that moment even cooler, because we aren't just watching him escape fiery death. We're in that moment, we're witnessing him grow as a character, escaping a fear that he previously had. And I'm blown away by the sophistication for a film in the action genre. What Die Hard did, it was just insane. That's my last one.
Speaking of being blown away, cocaine is a hell of a drug. Cocaine in the 80s is really a hell of a drug. Having an ego is a drug.
Capiche?
Combine cocaine with cocaine from the 80s with your ego,
Capiche?
with being in a hostage situation, and what you get is one of the top 10 scenes in film history. When Ellis takes that bump and decides he's finna go in that office with Hans and win this whole thing. Listen, you gotta, again, that's just not coke. That is coke and the adrenaline from the hostage situation and your ego and cocaine from the 80s. All mixing together, and he went in there on a fucking mission. Listen, guys. If you've seen the movie, I don't care how many times you've seen Die Hard. Isolate that one scene in itself. It could be the greatest short ever. He walks in, he was like, "What does he want?" Because they're finna kill him as soon as he walks in. He doesn't give a fuck. This guy's in there with, hey, listen, I know what's going on here, guys. Hey, You guys come here, let me guess, you didn't come in for a quick little smash and grab. You didn't expect this little poison pill to be running around. I get it, you guys, i.e. you want something. Am I right?
Capiche?
And you figured this all out on your own. Listen, hey, we both handle business. You do it with a machine gun, I do it with a pen. What's the difference? Well, you're on coke, Ellis, and he isn't. He's planning this out, Ellis, you haven't. So then he sits down and he says, you know that guy upstairs giving you all the problem? I can get him for you. Because see, now that's the cocaine that's running there. Man!
Wow, man.
And so he sits down, and I'm pretty sure, like you said, he told the guy, "Can you give me a coat?" He really meant a bumper coat. But point being is, as soon as he comes back, he gets on the radio. This motherfucker's like, "Hey, John Boy." So yet again, he is not taking. In his mind, he is working this whole thing out, and you see it like. Rick out and by the way, most of his lines in that scene were improvised. So what you see from Hans's face of confusion is like, what the fuck is really going on? He was like, Hans, booby, I'm your white knight. And I'm just like, my brother used to always come get me no matter how many times I heard it be on. He was like, bro, it's on. He didn't have to say anything else. I knew and I turn it on. He'd be like, i.e. you're happening, you want something. And the next thing you know, and he tried to say, come on, John, stop playing. Ellis, please tell you guys you don't know me.
And that just ain't gonna happen until you stop messing up the works, capiche?
And then the famous have a coke and a smile. Bam. Dude.
That's such a gratifying scene from the beginning.
Oh, he said verbatim, he like, I didn't know how to feel. He like, I knew I did a great job. And then I went to the movies and I really realized how great of a job I did when the whole audience cheered when I got blew the fuck away.
Yeah. I mean, the arrogance on his face, he's like, you know, I got this taken care of. Everything's worked out for me my whole life. I've never had any challenges or anything that stood against what I was trying to do. I love when a character like that who has never faced any obstacles gets shot.
And then the ultimate line of that scene, which takes it to classic. Hey, come on, Hans. What am I, a method actor here? No, he is. Literally.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, I'm sorry. That to me, and I literally do mean top 10. I don't care. For me, top 10 movie scene of all time. I'm sorry. I'm not saying it had the best actors in the world. I'm saying scene-wise, from cinematography to dialogue to pacing to improvisation to the way they pulled it off. It really doesn't get any better than that for me, man.
Yeah, I agree. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments, and we're going to talk about our favorite lines.
And that also includes Ellis.
I think every single one of my lines is McClane.
I was going to say, please don't tell me every single one of your lines was in the scene I just described, because you should have cut me off. Going back through it again. Go ahead, you go first, bro.
When McClane first radios in from the roof and the operator tells him, sir, this line is designated for emergencies only.
No fucking shit, lady. Do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza?
That intensity in his voice, that's one of my favorite things about Bruce Willis's delivery and what makes him such an awesome actor.
He channeled his inner Robin Williams when he did that. I can hear Robin Williams saying that line over and over.
Yeah. I'm Rainbow fucking Randolph. Kids love me. See my own way out.
At the beginning, at the middle, and at the end of that, any given point of this film, they let you know that this was a Christmas movie. You know how? It starts out with Argyle. Bruce starts. You got any Christmas music? Argyle.
This is Christmas music.
I just want to point out again, all throughout this movie, there are Santa Claus, this, that, and the other, and whatever.
It's the greatest Christmas story ever told.
All right, there we go. It's Christmas cult classic, baby.
This one is easy, but it would be a crime not to include it.
Yippee Ki-yay, motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean...
And it's not just because it is that line, but everything that leads to that moment, and it's a powerful line in the context of everything that's happening, and John McClane, just his not give a shit attitude.
Just a fly in the ointment, Hans. The monkey in the wrench.
Again, I said this earlier with the scene with him. Hey, John Boy.
Hey, John Boy.
Like, you don't know him. But in your mind, y'all have become best friends. Hey, John Boy. Me and my brother do that all the time. All right. So, go ahead.
I got one more line.
Okay.
I'm not the one who just got
butt fucked on national TV, Dwayne.
Dwayne? When he's talking to Paul Gleason on the phone. The way the whole line is funny, but the way he caps it off with Dwayne. Like he puts he puts some emphasis into every syllable. There's only one syllable. He puts some emphasis on Dwayne. Dwayne.
Thornburg. My God.
Tell me you got that.
Eat your heart out, Channel 5. Like, you guys don't understand this. Before Twitter and all this other bullshit, to be an investigative journalist in the 80s, they could find out anything. In journalism, what's their life? They would lose their marriages, their homes, their virginity, their everything. It was all about getting the story. And go back and look at Thornburg's face. He was like, my, like 50 people probably just died inside. My God. Tell me you got that. He came as a journalist. It was fucking crazy, dude. Last few lines here, of course.
April O'Neil makes me come as a journalist.
I don't think the Ninja Turtles are going to be cool with that. With that being said, here, of course, we got. Okay, yeah, okay. We're gonna get some more. Holy Christ. Oh yeah. Fucking the dude. What's up, my guy's name? From Breakfast Club again.
Paul Gleason.
Grab some wood there, bub.
After Mr. Iconic Gleason, Mr. Paul Gleason's character when the FBI guys get killed.
Holy shit.
We're gonna need some more FBI guys, I guess.
like they're just expendable. The Expendables.
Like there you go, man. So other than that, those were, I mean, clearly, guys, there were a million lines in that film, and Ellis did half of them, but the other ones that were actually spoken. Let us know what you think your favorite lines were, and if you're in the live chat, don't forget to hit that super chat right about now.
Yeah, I like that.
All right,
I like that. All right. Scene stealers.
All right, guys, it is now time for Scene Stealers. These are the artists that stole your heart, your mind, and your soul, and of course your eye for probably 90 minutes or more. But before we go into this movie, Scene Stealer, Durden, why don't you give us a nice Season 3 recap?
All right, this is who is on the board for Season 3 so far? With the Joker, we got Joaquin Phoenix. With the Joker.
We're vamping.
With the Joker, we got Joaquin Phoenix. Invention of Lion, Jennifer Gardner. Howard the Duck, Chip Zien. Candyman, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. And lastly, People Under the Stairs, Mr. Brandon Quentin Adams.
I still saw you pump fake with your mouth. You had it written down and we just discussed it, but that's okay. I wanted the fans to see it too. All right, guys. And of course, that brings us to Die Hard. Now, of course, we may have some, we do have some honorable mentions. And I
have two.
Yes. I'm going to say, I want to give a quick honorable mention to, of course, here, William Atherton. He played Thornburg. In order to, it's easy to try to make people like you, but it's really hard sometimes to make people detest you. That's a special gift, and really you have to kind of somewhere have it in you really to make people do that. And he not only, I know we're only discussing the first Die Hard, but even when he reprises his role later, you hate him just as much. And now that I'm thinking about it, it was one of his lines. I forgot, I guess I didn't write it down, but this motherfucker leans into that lady and is like, you don't let me in, I call INS.
Comprende?
As if the INS wasn't racial enough, and he doubles down with comprende. Like,
comprende, amigo.
Right, like, god damn. But it's really beautiful for what he does, because again, he's not himself evil, but like what we talked about earlier, those journalists in the 80s would do just about anything to get that story. But the way he portrayed the character, and here's the thing, he was such an asshole. The people he worked with thought he was like, eat it, dick. Or he said what he told the other guy, he's like, we're on air. And the other guy was looking, see it.
Now that it's all over after this incredible ordeal, what are your feelings?
And we're here live. So yeah, definitely honorable mention to Thornburg. You have an honorable mention?
Yeah, I got two. My first honorable mention goes to Alan Rickman.
Mm-hmm. He won't be joining us for the rest of his life.
I mean, for that time, he was just a really cool, innovative type of villain. He was sophisticated. He was an intellectual monster. To be so commanding in his first movie role is impressive in itself. He brings with Alan Rickman. He in his first movie, in that character, like, he carries a confidence with him that you would expect to only see in a seasoned veteran actor that knows. Is confident in their abilities. Like, he just, I remember the first time I saw it, like, oh, this guy must be like
30 years in or something like
well
that.
known. He carried himself so well.
My other honorable mention is going to go to Hart Bachman, who played Ellis.
Really? I mean, yeah, he was really good at being bad.
No, you don't understand this. Again, I'll be honest with you. I don't know what the fuck he did before it, after it. I don't know what he did yesterday. All I know is I have been watching this man's work for years, and it's been the same piece of work. You know how I get watching stuff over and over and over. But man, I just, like I say, he lit. As much as John McClane was getting on Hans Gruber's nerves, Ellis managed to do that in 10 to 15 minutes, but it took, he needed, Bruce Willis had his detonators, he's messing up his plan, he was killing people left and right, but Ellis somehow managed to get under his skin. Think about it.
Because you know what it is? I keep wanting to say MacGruber. Gruber had a respect for McClane, and I think McClane had a respect for Gruber. Yes. I mean, as much as they hated each other, were against each other, they appreciated their wit, I think. But Ellis, yeah, he's like, this motherfucker.
And this, I can prove it this way. Again, because I talked about it earlier. He, now you got me saying, Hans killed 2 people, Takagi and Ellis. One was for business and one was for pleasure. Yeah. He could have easily let him go back in there, but motherfucker, you just wasted my time. Remember, he's like, I'm sorry, I guess I didn't see 60 minutes. He was like, the fuck, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's when he really lost his cool. So to me, that's my second honorable mention was him, because he fucking killed it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I hate him as a character, but that's a testament to his acting ability.
Mm-hmm.
My other honorable mention is Al Pal, Reginald Vell Johnson.
I had an accident.
When I remember watching it as a kid, Sergeant Al Pal was my favorite character easily. And it may be because I knew him from Family Matters, so he like brought that familiarity with him and that like wholesomeness, but this dude is the archetype for the perfect wingman. He is McClane's only support through everything. He's sticking up for him. He's the voice of reason on the ground. Like
what does he tell him? What does McClane ask him to call him?
Call me Roy.
Early in the movie, he told Hans.
I was always kind of partial to Roy Rogers, actually.
It's that subtle layers of character development all throughout. But yeah, I mean, he's what makes him so awesome is because we have the advantage of watching him be true to this loyalty to McClane, even when McClane is nowhere around to be witnessing him sticking up for him and like being an advocate.
You can go home. No, sir.
And yeah, he just in the movie, in all of the violence, the danger, the general sense of cynicism in the whole movie, Reginald Vell Johnson is just like this wholesome light of safety and security that you can cling to throughout the whole thing.
I shot a kid.
Much like the way McClane does to kind of keep him grounded emotionally throughout the whole thing. He is McClane's emotional support system, and he embodied that perfectly. And the last thing I want to say about Vell Johnson is, if only every cop who accidentally shot an unarmed kid felt bad enough, the way, like legitimately bad enough, and wore it on his soul the way he did, like enough to demote himself to a desk job. So he, because he just, like, everything about that character was admirable. Now there is the flip side to that it's like, it could be viewed as propaganda for like, police being these amazing, upstanding people, but I don't buy that because he's the exception in this movie. Like, most of the other law enforcement are all a bunch of assholes that are just ready to go in guns blazing.
I think also I know that we would be remiss, because clearly we've said rest in peace to Alan Rickman, but also rest in peace to him, Reginald Vell Johnson, because I told you he passed as well.
When did that happen?
Years ago. No, god damn it, that was Uncle Phil. I thought Uncle died.
Stop killing Reginald Vell Johnson, man. This is the
third time I've killed him.
Yeah, in a month that you broke my heart for a few minutes.
Well, no one tried him when he killed his child off Family Matters. But anyway, all right. So with that being said, all right, time to get to scenes. Okay, so my scene stealer is going to one Mr. Alan Rickman. I have so much respect for certain type of villains, and the villains I usually have the most respect for are the ones who use their mind. He was a mastermind behind this, and again, he was the one that had to keep everyone calm, cool, and collective on his side, the cops, and also inside the Nakatomi building. And even you can tell he was one of those people, not only educated, he was proud that he knew so much about Western culture and the things Americans were going through, which is why he felt confident enough to come in there and make this plan. To him, we were probably just a bunch of stupid Americans, and he knew he can get through it, which is why, if you noticed earlier, there was a bet going on between my guy who was like, the quarterback is toast, and Carl. They had a bet going on whether Takagi was going to give it up, because, as you know, stereotypical wise, that it's stated Asians are very disciplined and loyal, and they're not just going to they'd rather go to their grave rather than give it up. So that was their bet. Mm-hmm. But my point in saying this was back to Alan.
Sorry, it just made me think of the big hit.
Oh yeah,
ring ring.
Wait one moment. But as I looked at the character, and like you said, is really what you said. The first time I saw him, you could not tell me that was his first film role. Now, clearly he was a classically trained theater artist. I mean, well-renowned. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, again, what he did with his character, his wits, only firing that gun pretty much 3 times, twice to kill someone, and then one time when he came out the office just to get everyone's attention. It's almost like saying, yeah, he's a good actor, but it's what he told Holly Gennaro. She's like, you did all this just because you're a thief. No, Mr. Gennaro, I'm an exceptional thief. Like, yeah, bitch, I ain't no regular. This ain't no stick up. Mm-hmm. You know, it's because he said it. Well, as a matter of fact, they went on to kind of take it later on in Swordfish. They were like, he was like, because he stole all that money, but they're not going to be looking for me if it's missing. $600, they won't look for you. $600 million, they will find you unless they think you're dead. And they use that in Swordfish, where they're going to blow up the roof. And John Travolta's supposed to get away, which technically, you know, and all that stuff. But
I've seen 45 seconds of Swordfish. Can you guess what 45 seconds that was?
Halle Berry's nude tits.
Yeah.
All right. It was okay. And so to me,
speaking of scene stealers,
there you go. But I definitely want to say that to me, is what he did with that character, man. I will. It's hard. You wanted to root for him, like because really, he said, I wanted this to go so professionally.
I wanted this to be professional.
He just wanted to come in, get the coal, get the beer bonds. He was out. He was fully prepared to go there and take it all the way.
But he did bring a rocket launcher.
He did, but he also told him, Mr. Takagi, it is a nice suit. It'd be a shame to mess it up.
I have to do it myself.
He's giving him, I'm going to count to 3, but hold on, because I've seen your American movies. There won't be a 4.
That's funny because little did he know there wouldn't be a 2.
I didn't think about it. There wouldn't be a 2. But lastly, and like I say, it was really for me what really took it over at the edge when he went into the Bill Clay. Oh God, no, please, no, you're one of them. No, really, if you come back here, you can get on the moment, just like that on the hat of it. He had to, in the movie, become someone else. So I'm just looking like, man, that's a lot of weight to carry, man.
And he was carrying that weight on one leg.
All right, yes, sir. And that's for me. So my vote's going to be Mr. Alan Rickman. What about you, sir?
I'm going to let you know right now that this is going to be a draw. We're going to need a coin because I totally respect your Alan Rickman choice, and I 99.9% agree with it. But I have got to go with Bruce Willis as John McClane.
Come out to the coast. We'll get together. Have a few laughs.
Because, like I said before, he is John McClane. John McClane is Die Hard. Bruce Willis is John McClane. John McClane is Bruce Willis.
It's the Iron Man treatment with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. That's a perfect analogy. Like I can't separate the two and imagine
Matt
it
Damon
without.
Can.
And I think that is the perfect definition of a scene stealer. If you literally could not imagine the film without that actor, then they did it. It's crazy how many people they considered before Bruce Willis because I mean it could have went bad in so many different ways had any one of those actors.
I think Richard Gere would have fucked this all the way up.
Yeah. So it's Bruce Willis's first time on a big screen carrying a film, an action film at that. The wit and comedic timing that he brings to the role works so well.
Welcome to the party, pal!
And it doesn't just work well for his character, but it elevates the movie as a whole and takes it to a level that transcends your average action film. Especially his ability to be simultaneously vulnerable and kick-ass at the same time.
Tell her that she's the best thing that ever happened to a bum like me.
He jokes, he cries, he bleeds, he hurts, he's relentless.
He's not some super cop, some indestructible, unfeeling, unemotional guy. He's a guy who cares for his wife.
He maintains this air of fearlessness while conveying to the audience like this subtle concern that's brewing underneath him. Like I can't even explain it. Like he'll be putting out there this air of confidence and everything kind of blows off his shoulder, but you could see it in his eyes sometimes. Like every once in a while he gets shook, but it's only for a beat, and then he's back to regaining his composure. And I think that makes him such a cool character to watch in a situation like this, because he isn't untouchable, and he'll never give them the satisfaction of letting them know that they've hurt him or intimidated him. He cries on the phone with Al Pal. He's in the bathroom crying. Like the fact that he's able to show that kind of vulnerability, or what some might call weakness or whatever, and still be convincing as someone that can kick ass and save the day. The range that he brought to that character was just so impressive, and the fact that he carried the film. I mean, like I said, he is the film. Alan Rickman is, of course, the villain, and he's carrying a portion of the weight as the villain. But you got to, when you're being completely honest, John McClane is Die Hard.
Yippee Ki-yay, motherfucker.
And Bruce Willis just.
So who you want to call? I'll let you make the call this time, because I know who I want to call, but I'll let you call. Oh, no, I mean, who do you literally want to call?
Oh, like a person?
Yep, and I think I know someone who's qualified. Here we go, I got it. We're going to do this live.
Are you calling your brother?
Yep, he's qualified.
Do you already know what he would say?
Nope.
Okay.
I'll let you ask him.
And we can't give any...
Nope. Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Wilson.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, we need we're live right now, kind of, on TTFT, and we need somebody to break a tie for us. We're doing scene stealers for Die Hard.
Let's say that last part again now. You need a tiebreaker for what?
The best actor in Die Hard between Bruce Willis or Alan Rickman.
Ooh, that's a toughie.
I know, that's why you're on the phone.
That is a toughie. You know what? I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. I go with Alan Rickman.
Yes.
Go.
Go ahead. Ask him why. At least tell him why.
Okay. Yeah. Please let us know why.
And here's why. Bruce Willis, although he is a great entertainer, I wouldn't say he's a great actor. He's great on scene. He's great on camera, but I wouldn't say he's a great actor. But at the same time, Alan Rickman, he give it to you. He's flying. He's fine.
That is
he's flying. He's fine.
Yeah, that's I cannot argue with that one, but that is a great point, because you're right. As much as awesome as John McClane is,
John McClane is in like 50 movies.
I actually did say it. John McClane is Bruce Willis. So when you say Alan Rickman is the better actor, yeah, that's true. All right.
Thank you, Julian.
That's how I feel. Like I said. And now, of course, John McClane, they in the movies, he's always going to have the good one-liners and all that.
He does come with the
Rickman
advantage.
Was giving you Houston Fister. Shoot the glass.
He had to say it in English, like you don't get shoot
Improv.
the glass. And then do you not remember his Bill Clay impersonation?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, brother. Come on, man. He gave it to you every way. I'm more than a petty thief. Come on now. he give it to you. He giving you comedic lines without the normal zingers, bro. He giving it to you subliminally.
And then,
you know
and last but not least, he killed Ellis, so he should get it just for that.
Oh man, let me tell you something, bro. Like I say, he gave it to you from beginning when he killed Takagi. I mean, what's man's name?
Takagi.
He first he complimented it on the suit, then he killed the nigga. Come on, bro.
He won't be joining us for the rest of his life.
He gave it to you every chance he got, bro. He gave it to you. So, like I said, although we love Bruce Willis and we root for the hero, of course, in the movie, Alan Rickman couldn't have been a better villain to play his antagonist to the hero, bro.
Well, listen,
he was subtly insane. That's what he was. He was a man on a mission to get half a million. I can't remember the million.
640 million in bearer bonds.
Right. So, you know, I'm telling you, and like I said, bro, he wasn't giving you the classic one-liners like Don was. But if you really watch the movie, if you're really a fan of the movie, he was giving you the one-liners every chance he got.
He did. He definitely did. Theo. Yeah, so listen, Julie and Juilliard Wilson, we really appreciate it. We'll make sure we put up a still image of you, and you'll be on the next episode. Thank you for the tiebreaker, sir. Be safe on that road.
Yeah, that was a good call, because I agree with the two main points that he made that really sold it for me is the fact that he is absolutely right. As awesome as John McClane is, it required less acting chops of Bruce Willis, because it is so much the line is so blurred between who Bruce Willis is and John McClane's character, and the fact that, like he said, John McClane is the hero of the story, so he's coming with the advantage as far as the script goes of getting those great
he's lost. He's trying to get his wife back. He's an all-American at that point, but yeah.
And Alan Rickman is very removed from Hans Gruber. Like he was acting to play that part.
This is when he had the edge. When we're gonna end it here. I told you, he came into the building. There's no video evidence of him coming into that building whatsoever. He comes in the truck and they let him into the loading dock.
There's no video evidence of the ambulance coming into the building.
And that's a story for another day.
Yeah, that's all right. Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman. Yeah. The first German on the board.
You may not be joining reality for the rest of your life, but you're on the board here.
Yeah. Did that win it for Robin last season?
I don't know about the season, but definitely.
I know he got on the board.
Yeah.
All right. So what's next, Durd?
All right. It is time for Cast, Crew, or You.
And just as we explained earlier, we got some treats for you guys today. We are going to have Mr. Argyle himself, Devereaux White. And who else are we going to have, Dave?
Andreas Wisniewski as Tony.
Where's the O at? Try that again, because you didn't let me say that. It's not. You said Wisniewski. There's no O there. Try it again.
Wisniewski.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. And also Andreas Wisniewski,
aka Tony.
Yep.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a treat, a pleasure, a national treasure. Today, a professional actor since the age of 10. His first credited role was on an episode of The Jeffersons. Safe to say he's moved on up. Nearly 45 years ago in 1977. Now, 2 years later, he appeared in an episode of What's Happening? And what happened after that? A whole lot! Exclamation point. The Blues Brothers, Little House on the Prairie, T.J. Hooker, Hill Street Blues, Max Duggan returns, Different Strokes.
Green makes you look like you threw up all over yourself.
Highway to Heaven, and we're not even out of the 80s yet. Action, motherfucking Jackson. Hotter, and in the heat of the night, head of the class, and Workaholics, just to name a few. And I feel like we're forgetting one particular thing. He is the coolest limo fucking driver in the world, Argyle, and that's the best intro you're ever going to get. What the fuck is up, man?
What's going on?
Nothing much. I only practiced that like 97 times.
I cannot follow that. There's no way I'm following that.
Wait, you guys.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is so much fun. Let me grab my Red Bull, okay?
Go for it. Yeah, there we go. All right. Yes. So the year is 1984. You starred as Wiley in the two-time Oscar-winning film Places in the Heart, starring Sally Field, Ed Harris, one of my all-time favorites, John Malkovich, and Danny Glover.
That movie would naturally lead us to Die Hard, because we read that you largely credit that film for the opportunity to do a reading with producer Joel Silver and Bruce Willis. Can you tell us about how that happened and what that reading was like?
Jackie Birch was a huge casting director back then. I had Lee on my team, and Jackie Birch calls Lee. They're very good friends. And she says, Lee, I'm casting for this part, for this guy to play like a limo driver, and he's on this like CB radio or something, and I'm just preparing for it. And Lee goes, "Oh, darling, I've got him." Even back then, Lee was like that. He goes, "Oh, I've got him." She goes, "What do you mean you got him?" She goes, "Devoria White, Places in the Heart. He killed Sally Field's husband." She goes, "Oh, yes. She goes, I got him already." And she goes, "You don't even need to read with him." And she goes, "I know exactly who he is." She goes, "Okay, so Joel and Bruce saw the movie, so I'll send him straight to Joel and Bruce if I can." And they did. And I walked in and I read with them, and before 5 o'clock, I was booked.
That's awesome. Bruce Willis really wasn't he definitely wasn't the household name that he is now, but really then he just had like Moonlighting and maybe a few other TV projects under his belt. So when you went into that meeting, were you familiar with Bruce Willis at all?
Moonlighting, I just remember, Joel, I knew he was a big producer. And real quickly, just a short one. I remember when I got booked, I went to the wardrobe department and they put this suit on me, and it wasn't very comfortable, guys. It was like under here, it was tight and everything. And the shoes were hideous and they were clunky. And the wardrobe person, I said, "This is what I'm wearing?" And he goes, "Yeah, hurry up." He goes, hurry up. We got to get to Joel. Okay. So we go to Joel's office, and I remember it was like deco plush, like wine colored velvet deco and like Frank Lloyd Wright stuff. And the few people were sitting outside his office, and they were like this, and they looked nervous. And I was like, wow. And then I hear Joel come out and he goes, "Tell those fuckers to hurry up," and slams the door. And so I go in, and I had read for him. This is when I had an official discussion conversation with him. And I walk in with the wardrobe guy, and Joel goes, "How you doing?" And I go, I'm good. And he goes, "So how do you like your wardrobe?" And I said, "It's hideous." And I said, "These shoes are ridiculous, to be quite frank with you." And he smiled, and he looked at the wardrobe person, looked shocked. And he looked at the wardrobe person, and he goes, "Go get him what he wants."
Honesty's the best policy.
That was my little story. I always have these little stories, you guys.
No, these are good nuggets, man. No, you're good, man. Trust me, you're giving us, we'll get to it later, but trust me, you're giving us way more than the movies that made us gave you. So we appreciate this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we definitely appreciate this. Now,
there is something to be said about your crossroads with Black and behind music icons. Now, first, you're trying to steal from Ray Charles and Blues Brothers. Now, you're helping yourself to drinks from the limo bar while taking in a Stevie Wonder cassette. Would you like to comment?
It was Run DMC.
Told you.
Excuse me. It was Run.
I didn't write it. He wrote this, but I knew what it was.
Oh, yeah?
No?
That was the trick.
No, it was not it. The trick was earlier.
That's how Lee talks, you guys. He goes, "Excuse me." Fuck you.
With all due respect, you asshole.
So continue. I'm waiting. Continue.
Please. There you go.
Your filming schedule with Die Hard was spread out over a 3-month period. During that time, were you given like restrictions or anything regarding altering your appearance?
No, they didn't put specifics on it. I just stayed the same way like I am now. I just have glasses. And just because they're Gucci doesn't mean I can see any fucking better.
There we go. And that's the trailer. That's the commercial right there. You didn't have any Gucci sponsorships coming up, did you? Because we're dropping Gucci.
No, there were no restrictions. You know, awesome. I come in. I mean, the only thing, you know, then they had pagers. And so I remember that I was on call and they gave me a pager. I remember one night I was at the baddest club in town called Vertigo downtown. And I was just rocking. You saw Robert De Niro like by himself over there in the back. You see Bridget, Sylvester Stallone's ex-wife, the redhead.
Brigitte Nielsen. Brigitte Nielsen.
Yes. You see her walking in. And you see everybody, you know, running around. And so I was dancing. I was having the time of my life. And that damn pager went off and I went with my friends. I went, shit. So I go to the phone and then I call and he goes, Mr. Wright, we need you in within the hour, okay? And I said, yes, I'll be there. So I left and thank God I wasn't drunk. No, I you know, that's the only kind of stuff I did over that period. It was fun.
You could have pulled off if you were drunk. I mean, Argyle was sipping the wine coolers in the limo for most of the movie.
He was having the time of his life back there. Now, one thing that I did actually read here, now this is according to IMDb, who's only right 65% of the time here. They had a couple of people try to do it who weren't really trained actors try to punch a co-star. So we read that you actually did punch your co-star, Clarence Gilliard, a little black on black crime. Wonder how they figured that out. Who played Theo during the escape attempt scene. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so I share with you guys that I don't speak unkind, unimportant, or unnecessary about anyone. Mm-hmm. I will just say I was younger. I will say we had artistic differences. Mm-hmm. And as a method actor, you got to make it look motherfucking real.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Clarence is told.
Boom! Because I had a military guy. This guy I met like a month ago and I walked in somewhere and he goes, "You look like that guy in Die Hard." And I said, "Yeah, I'm very cool about it. You know, I go, "Yes." And I go, "I'm honored. Thank you." And he goes, "Okay, so my dad is military and I'm military." And that punch scene, we can pretty much tell, you know, because we do combat and stuff. He goes, "That looked like you hit him. My dad said you hit him." I said, "I did."
That's my dad said.
That is wild, man. Method actor, man. Hey, yeah. It came across, man. It definitely came across.
Look at my face. Look at my face. Uh-huh.
Hey, I did. Shake it.
Oh, that is fantastic.
You guys are bad. You guys are bad. Hey. Bad men.
Yeah, thank you. Not bad men, bad men.
Well,
yes.
hold on. It's only going to get a little bit worse.
Now, remember about the stunt and hitting him. When we just did the commercial, the newer commercial, the Die Hard commercial, I saw him and no ego. Back then, I did stuff that was pretty kind of ego based. Today, I'm a different person. I'm not that man that I was. Like I shared with you, and I'll tell you what happened when I learned how to act. I was just like, get this film done, throw some energy. Places in the Heart, they had a coach for me to teach me how to be drunk. They flew her in from New York, Sandy. So I was on my way to really learn how to get the gist of acting. So with him, when we did the commercial, I saw him on the where we were having lunch and stuff, and I walked up and I said, "How you doing?" And he goes, Oh, so good in front of everybody. Oh, so good to see you. We're so happy to have you. I went, I'm just kidding.
Still a bit of a little artistic difference going on there.
No, we were cool though. We were cool. You know, we were like, I was speaking because that's how I am. You know, miss me with the bullshit. You know,
Right.
I'm here to get along with people, and you know, what you exhibit pretty much dictates what you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that, you know, Hollywood is so, you know, it's so like if this isn't, today I think with my heart, I've learned how to. And I choose my battles very carefully, which are rare. And I'm very respectful. You know, nothing's problematic. If I have an issue with someone, back then I would cuss you out. I would cuss you out. I remember I was sitting, because Wesley Snipes and Eddie and Lawrence Fishburne, they're like uncles to me. And I remember we were at Club Roxbury one night, and I was sitting there, and I said, because the mother thing, and I was like, I'm not happy. I hate this. Eddie's loud. The other two, Lawrence Fishburne's like, Larry's like, just chill. It's going to be okay. I was on my third Long Island iced tea, by the way. And, you know, and Wesley's like, just be cool. It's going to be all right. Eddie goes, you what? And I said, Eddie, I hate it. I'm not happy. He stood up in the club. We were in VIP at a table. He stood up. He goes, have you lost your motherfucking mind? He goes, you're about to be the next me. What the fuck is wrong with you? And I fell off the chair. And I got up. I had been drinking. I got up and I said, fuck you guys. I'm going to make more money than all you put together. Fuck you. And walked off. We got off topic. I have my stories.
No, we're not off topic here. We are.
What did Beth Grant say? Ego is not your amigo.
Ego is not your amigo.
When you find yourself telling Lawrence Fishburne and Eddie Murphy,
hey, Morpheus, Professor Klump, and you little Nino Brown.
They're like uncles to me, man. Danny, yeah. Oh my God, they're like, dude, Danny. I mean, they're like, I look up to those guys.
Right.
I know you said that, and I totally respect that, like not talking down about anybody. So feel free to, we can pass this next question if you want, but I am going to ask, you with working with Bruce Willis, there are stories circulating, mostly from Kevin Smith, who worked with him on Cop Out, of just not being the most enjoyable person to work with. And if you're comfortable speaking about your experience with that, with working with Bruce Willis, if maybe you can confirm that, or if you had a completely different experience. And you guys improv a lot of your lines together too, right?
Yes. Okay. So first of all, someone's experience with someone is none of my business. With him, we were cool. You know, if you kind of get the gist of Bruce, then you understand him more. For instance, when we did the commercial. Argyle? I'm on the set. I didn't even see him. I was talking to somebody else. And he tapped me and he goes, Argyle. I turned around and went, where in the fuck have you been? I could have been dead by now. His eyes opened, and then I just looked at him, and then it takes a lot to make him like laugh. And I just keep it real. And I said that, and he went, he bent. And I hugged him, and then, so it was cool. It was cool. I'd like to share something with you, if I may, about that has to do with my experience with that film. That's pivotal, if I may. Yes?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
John McTiernan. Now, I told you I didn't really learn how to act. It was always like this. I learned how to act when I did Die Hard. The first day of rehearsal, John McTiernan goes, okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to do the scene when you guys are in the limo and I'm being nosy with Bruce. I keep prying and prying. He goes, we're going to do that, okay? And I said, yeah, okay. So he goes, action. I go, so you're a New York cop and you move here, back here to get together with your wife and you have one bag, so why bother to pack? And John's eyes kind of go like how that agent did when I read like that. He goes, come here for a second. I said, yes. He goes, did you read the entire script? I went,
What the fuck is going on?
I see you. I said, not really, not really. He goes, do you understand the chemistry of what you're saying to him? He goes, okay. And he gave me this glare. He looked at me, he goes, all right, listen. In his head, he was probably like, how the fuck did they hire him? Anyway, he's like, okay, look, listen very carefully. He's a New York cop and he wants desperately to get back together with his wife. And so he's bringing one bag with him on the hopes of getting back together with her so they can be happily ever after. Do you understand? Okay. And it like did something. It shook me because I was like, I'm with these people. And look, those people, I'm just kidding. I'm with these people around me, the set and everything. And they heard him holler at me. And so my heart was going like this. And they said, action. I said, oh, so you're a New York cop and you came back here on the hopes of getting back together with your wife and you brought one bag. So why bother to pack, right? That was the scene. That's when I learned how to act.
Like I said, you're very fast, Argyle.
It's evident in Die Hard too that like John McTiernan prioritizing the full picture of every character. That's something that makes Die Hard like it transcends other action movies, especially around that time, to put so much emphasis on the character arcs of and making sure that even supporting characters were understanding how everything would come together, and you could see it in the movie.
You can.
There's payoffs,
especially, and like you said, from all the research we've done, almost every person, or should I say, everything we've read, sources that a lot of these lines were improvised. I want to ask you, when you and Bruce were improvising, is there one particular line that you're proud of, or one that you can remember to say, man, that wasn't going to be in the film at all, but people always quote it, or it's one that you personally love? Anything you can think of?
John was like, you guys just have fun with it, improvise. So there's something that I said to him and they pulled it out. I mean, they edited. He goes, he's like, so your wife, yeah, I said, so your wife, you're in the hopes of getting back together with your wife, so why bother to pack? And then he goes, you sure do ask a lot of questions. I said, she beat you up. And I think I said, you let your bitch beat you up. That's what it was.
When keeping it real goes wrong. But that was a perfect line. You let your bitch beat you up.
I said, she beat you up.
I just see that.
So
yeah,
that stuff like that, that's what we got to do. And I just learned, dude, with acting, just to take your time and deliver.
Hey, come on, you divorced? You separated? She beat you up?
It's so cool that line was that you came up with that on the spot, because that line so early on in the movie, it's instrumental in establishing John McClane as the opposite of what we've become accustomed to with action heroes. Like John McClane, what made him so special is his vulnerability, his weakness, the fact that he gets his ass kicked more than he kicks ass, but he's relentless about it. Most action heroes are just like alpha male macho men. Like John McClane cries on the screen. So for you to improvise a line like that so early on in the film is like it. I think it served the bigger picture of John McClane's character of how he's not going to be your stereotypical leading man in an action
His
movie.
wife left him. She changed her name back to her maiden name. He can't see his kids. He has one bag. He's been demasculated before he's been castrated before the movie starts. And if your line, hey, but to sum up what he's saying, I think like when we always talk about character development, your brief time with him at the beginning sets us down the course for what type of man that he is at the beginning of the film. So it's a pivotal role is what it is.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You've touched on this a few times, the Die Hard battery commercial. But I wanted to go back to that for a second because it kind of came out of nowhere. It was just really cool. Like the people reuniting, reprising their characters. For essentially, I don't even like to call it a commercial. It was like a short film. What was that like getting back into that world after decades?
Hey, that's my line.
You know, people were sending things, and this one came in to my management, and Greg calls me, and he goes, Day, I've read this, and they're very interested in you for this thing. And I said, what is it? And he goes, it's a commercial. Bruce is on board, and it's Die Hard, and it's for Advanced Auto Parts. And I said, okay, so be more specific. And he goes, I know who the advertising company is for this, and this is legit. He goes, they want you, however, they have stated that if they are unable to hire you, they will do their best to find someone that looks like you, however, they want the original Argyle. And I said, okay, so what? He goes, you think you might want to do it? I said, what do you honestly think? And he goes, this is your time. He goes, to rekindle. He goes, you're a different person now. You're spiritual now. You're happy now. And I said, he goes, you're not sad. And I said, wise investments my grandmother did. So he said, yeah, this is legit. So you guys, when you get booked on a job in Hollywood, I don't ever talk about money. However, this is a point needs to be made. Okay, at Screen Actors Guild, I think the lowest scale, I think, is $2,500 a day or $3,000 a day or something like that before you get your quote, per se. When you start working, you get your quote goes higher and higher. And so there was no negotiation needed. They just came in and went, boom. We really want you to do this. It was such a beautiful, not only did it raise my quote, now, and shit's happening. It was just like, it was so good that Greg needed to hire Loeb and Loeb lawyers. These guys charge like $800, $1,000 an hour. to do this deal. And the way that the contract was done, it was so beautifully orchestrated and executed.
You've said it yourself how much you've grown and changed as a person since you were Argyle the last time. So to step back into shoes that you filled decades earlier with so much evolution in yourself as a person between that time and now, just what that felt like for you internally to kind of go back to that place from a completely different perspective, having everything that you know in hindsight.
It had been a while. However, I kind of I'm coming at it from a different angle now. First of all, it wasn't like I'm just going to walk in and just read it. I'd already done it. And you know what was funny? It was hilarious because it was COVID. So Bruce needed to do his separately for me because you couldn't sit next to each other. So he did his and I did mine. It was so hilarious because we were filming and in the movie I went,
this is their idea of Christmas.
I gotta be there for New Year's. And we were doing it and the director, he was awesome. I said, he wanted me to say, if this is Christmas, I gotta be there for New Year's are the lines. And I started going, if this is Christmas, I have to be there for New Year's. He goes, no, Dave, we need you to say, I got to be there for New Year's. I got to be. I said, oh, fine, no problem. Action. If this is Christmas, I have to be there for New Year's. Like 4 times. And before, when I didn't take acting seriously, you guys, I would get nervous. So I had to get it right on the first take all the time. Perfectionist in that area. When I was doing those jobs, I had to get it like 1 or 2 and then do the close-up because I would get nervous that panic thing would jump in and I didn't know it then, the mother thing. And so it was just funny. On this time though, it was hilarious. I did it like 4 times and didn't say it. And then I finally got it right, got to be there for New Year's. And I said, shit, I co-starred in the original. I can't even remember the fucking line.
Oh my goodness. That is a story for the ages on that. Now,
what was your favorite memory from the production?
When John McTiernan cussed me out and showed me how to act. I will not ever forget that, you guys. He let me have it. I was like, wow. However, I'm so grateful though. That is the memory. Bruce and I, we have fun. That shit right there though, that tops it. That right there.
I truly believe that lets you know whether at that very moment, you know whether you have it or you don't, and whether you can make it in this business. And clearly you did. Now, there's been this great debate of all time, and hopefully you can sell this for us, because one of your lines is, hey, if this is their idea of Christmas, I gotta be there for New Year's. So what I gotta ask you is, I didn't say have to, I gotta be there for New Year's. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie to Argyle?
This is what it is, you guys. It's a Christmas cult classic. That's it.
Very well spoken. You went to law school, didn't you?
I see people on social media arguing. They're like fighting.
Yeah.
They're like, it's a Christmas movie. No, it's not. Fuck you. It's a Christmas movie because da 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 da. And then somehow somebody got to me that I know. And all this stuff was going, all these messages. No, it's not. You don't know what you're talking about because of the period. Da 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 da. It's a Christmas movie. Well, not necessarily because. And then finally, I saw all these things, and then finally, I came in and I posted, and I said, with all due respect, Die Hard is a Christmas cult classic.
Best way to put it.
Setting the record straight.
Setting the record straight.
If anybody can, it's you.
But setting the record straight, but also making everybody say, see, I was right. They're both sides now saying, see, I was right.
Someone came up to me and said, no, it's not. I'd say, I fucking co-starred in the movie. Get the fuck out of
right. Your bitch beat you.
Yeah. Before we say goodbye, is there anything that you have brewing right now or coming up or anything at all that you'd like to leave the audience with?
You saw the commercial, right?
Yes.
You're talking about the AutoZone, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Stay tuned.
Okay, all right.
That's a fucking
Stay
trailer.
up.
Sizzle, baby. Non-disclosure agreement activated. Love it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So
please tell me McClane is back again.
Anyway, we're not
the mouse.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
You can be quiet, but I'm going to say something for it. The mouse tried to fuck it up. But
Disney?
Yes, because they took Fox, but they were talking about McClane, and that would be...
It's okay. Calm down.
Sir, thank you so much. Tell your agent we appreciate all the information. And listen, if you ever want to come back on, man, you're more than welcome. If there's ever a Die Hard 5, Argyle's Revival, or you come right back on.
I had a lot. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. I mean, I do interviews, and they're like, cool. You cats, that shit was fun. Thank you so much, man. And big love and God bless to you. And you guys, thank you so much for what you do. Amazing. Thank you so much. All right.
All right. Thank you, D. You have a great day, man. And we'll see you soon, man. Okay.
Big love and God bless. Peace.
McClane 2023.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that was great.
He made his on-screen debut with Elton John. He took on James Bond and John McClane and still lived to see a few more impossible missions. An iconic actor with over 3 decades of experience behind him, Andreas Wisniewski, thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure indeed. I've seen you. I see you've done your research. You even dug up the Elton John video.
It was a great shot. Good song, too. I'd never heard it before.
Hey, this is the iconic Andreas. Why wouldn't he be involved with Elton John? Now, one of the things I want to talk about, let's talk about Die Hard and your role of Tony Vresky.
The fire has been called off, my friend.
And if I mess it up, let me know. But I'm going to go with Tony Vresky, culminated in one of the most iconic moments in action cinema history. So there was one question that was on here that I'm supposed to go into, but I have to know since you brought up the hair. Did you have to do anything to your hair, or how did you feel about the look they gave you? You were like the smartest, buffest, dancing nerd badass I ever seen in my life. Like, well, what was that look based on?
I don't know. I don't recall anything in particular. The only thing I remember is that those Jeffrey Dahmer glasses.
Tony has scared the hell out of me since I was 5 years old with his stone cold demeanor and those Jeffrey Dahmer glasses. I don't think I can do this.
They were actually mine. I wore those.
So they were your glasses. They weren't Jeffrey's. They were yours.
They were mine, and they made a couple of copies. And that's good. I guess that's sufficiently psychopathic or something. Who knows?
Okay, let me ask you this: what was the audition process like for Die Hard?
I'm sorry, I have
to
go.
Say, please. Jeffrey Dahmer.
I thought that I was throwing a light jab at the fictional character. I had no idea when I wrote that those were your personal glasses. I do apologize.
Oh my God!
I stand by. Don't apologize. I don't get insulted.
All right, so I think a lot of fans may want to know this. What was the audition process like for Die Hard, and was there any hesitancy on your part to actually take the role, and any fear of being just like typecast as just the bad guy?
That's quite funny, actually. Look, I'm in Hollywood. This is the first shot I get, and I'm going to think about whether you want to take the part. I don't think so. It was an easy audition. I mean, there was only just a few lines, and I think, quite frankly, I got that part because I looked like Alexander Goodenough, and we were supposed to be brothers. That was that.
Nice. Now, was he a dancer too, or did I read that wrong?
No, he was. He was, and we had actually met dancing years prior.
Wow.
And yeah, funny. Then we ended up playing brothers and Die Hard.
999 Bob.
So you hear that, kids? If you want to be an actor, just dance, work out, and you'll be fine. Forget the acting, just dance and work out. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. No.
You have a pretty intense fight scene with Bruce Willis. You guys are busting into plaster walls, through metal beams, down a flight of stairs, and I'm sure there was some stuntmen that came into play there at some points. But for you, what kind of preparation went into that? And I'm wondering if your training in dance early on was valuable in memorizing that choreography.
Yes, that's totally. It totally was. I mean, your awareness of space and being able to repeat something precisely, which is quite a good skill to have for a camera. I don't recall any particular prep for it. It wasn't really complicated enough. That fall down the staircase I didn't do myself. And actually, that was tricky enough that it took a couple of stuntmen to be able to complete it. I recall one actually dislocating his shoulder. So, glad I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
there's a particular line that represents either a cultural misunderstanding or maybe a sign of the times being so different with respect to the way law enforcement was universally accepted as good guys. I found it funny. When your character taunts McClane, saying, you won't hurt me because you're a policeman.
Because you're a policeman. There are rules for policemen.
What was your motivation there as an actor? And did Tony actually believe that he was protected by some code that McClane was held to? Or did you see this as another lie, kind of like...
I promise I won't hurt you.
Before firing off the machine gun?
Well, you're really testing my memory now. I don't have a bloody clue.
That's fair. That's fair. Quite a bit has happened between now and then.
In my heart of hearts, I wanted his character to believe that McClane, that he was just lying to him, just a cute reason of time. Like, yeah, you're a policeman, you have rules. I'm not going to hurt you. I mean, you say I'm not going to hurt you, and 2 seconds later, you're firing off 30 rounds.
Right. Precisely. There is that. Right. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't. Yeah. That's it's a movie. I mean, you don't want it to be boring, do you?
Right.
Yeah. Yes. The whole thing is a brilliant cat and mouse game.
Mm-hmm. Now, your character is the first alleged terrorist.
Who said we were terrorists?
To die at the hands of McClane. And as we said, it's such an iconic scene. But what it also does, it also sets off a series of events that ripple until the film's credits. Now, when you first got the part, were you aware of your significance of your character when you accepted the role, or were you not let in on the light of it?
I didn't have a clue. Also, don't forget, we didn't know where this film was going, I mean, now we look at it as it's a classic, and it kind of established a subgenre of movies. We've had Die Hard on an airplane and Die Hard on a ship, and probably somewhere Die Hard in a toilet. Who knows?
Yeah, and today we just died hard on a podcast.
There you go.
It
resurrected Liam Neeson's career. Resurrected his. I mean,
I thought that was such a cool aspect of the film that your character brought, that creating, because from McClane's side, he's trying to save his wife from Gruber, and then when you come along, that creates this personal vendetta. And like a personal thing between Carl and McClane. So it's like this, it's not just a heist and a cop trying to stop a heist and a terrorist trying to outwit a cop. From that moment where you show up in the elevator with the shirt, it's become like the stakes are like increased a lot in that moment, and you could feel it. And it was just such a good scene.
Yeah, it's nifty, isn't it, when characters have dimension rather than being cardboard cutouts. I think that was one of the things that Die Hard did really well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everybody, every character had their was well rounded all the way to Val Johnson
and Carl.
Al, yeah,
Al, yes.
that like he gets to shoot somebody at the end, and that's the arc for his character. And
but that's the fun thing about watching these films is that, like you mentioned with his character, now you die, you're the first terrorist to die, and that's what, let's say 20-30 minutes into the film, but almost an hour later we still feel the weight of your character because Carl is going crazy now. He's over, and she was like, I know that look.
Only John can drive somebody that crazy.
Your brother is going crazy over your death, so we still feel your weight an hour into the film. That's writing and that's character development. You guys pulled that off.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was nice. It wasn't even that wasn't necessarily so obvious from the beginning, because when we started shooting a medium budget film with a certain script, but it changed on a daily basis. You know, we had many rewrites, new pages every day.
Was that difficult for you? Because I know you were a trained dancer and clearly moves can change, but now you're talking about moving parts of a film changing. Was that difficult, or because you weren't or is this one of those times for not being so much trained in acting, you just going with the flow and it doesn't bother you? Yeah,
I mean, certainly the latter. Don't forget, I had almost no dialogue in it, and so I wasn't tested in that way.
Very good. I like that. Now you did get rest in peace and to one of the most iconic he's maybe not my Mount Rushmore, but he's in my Congress of acting. You got to work with the late great Alan Rickman. This was his first role in a feature film. What was it like? And do you have any memories that you can or would like to share with us regarding your time with him?
Well, if you're looking for a cute anecdote or something, I don't recall anything in particular, but Alan became a friend. We remained friends until he died about 3 years ago, and not that we saw all that much of each other because he was traveling, shooting here and there. But I learned a lot from him right there and then. I mean, I was still on the steep learning curve, and I thought it was amazing how he managed to be flexible and do what was required. And, there are certain requirements for a big American action film, and still remained true to, certain things about himself as far as doing it. Some sort of sincerity, that was one of the things I most admired about him. He was fully behind what he did, and found ways of compromising that didn't that nobody perceived as something missing. I mean, like one of the I can say this much: he didn't like portraying violence without finding some valve that made it less serious, because he thought, well, a lot of kids are going to see this, and he didn't want it to portray just as some sort of destructive action, and so he always wanted to imbue it, and I think succeeded really well with it, with some sort of humor.
That speaks to what I actually read. I read that the director had to actually cut away from a lot of the shots of him using a gun because he would flinch every time he used it, and that more so
because they were using real.
Well, I mean, yeah, that too. But at the same time, to speak to what he said, that he wasn't really about violence unless it made sense. Let's not just fire a gun just to fire. And if you notice it, outside of Takashi, who does he really kill?
That's a good point.
I mean,
that asshole Ellis.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that later. But yes,
I wanted to ask with Alan Rickman. With of course, there's that. There's the classic story about where he's dropped from the building and how the stunt coordinator told the guy to do it on 3 instead of 1, so he would really catch him off guard and catch a natural reaction. Did you were you on set around that time, or did he ever bring that up after the fact?
Nope. First time I heard and saw anything about it was the premiere. There was a crew screening at 20th Century Fox. Most of it actually. I wasn't around very much at all. I mean, I tell the story like this. They hired me for 7 weeks. I was on the set 10 days. 3 or 4 out of those, I did nothing. And of the remaining few days, I was dead for 3. So it was a tiny part. So, my perspective is clearly limited on it.
Yeah.
I just got to ask. I mean, like you just said, I know the answer from what you told us, but like you said, it was a tiny part. And that's just a beautiful part to me about art, is that what one may perceive as something so small can just be immortalized. Like, so many people have researched you. Out of all the great things you've done, people look at that, and you're only on set for a little bit, but to this day, people quote and clearly get satire made out of things that your death was up. I mean, they immortalize they revel his death more than his life. And that's what's crazy. Like, you've created a piece of art that can never be taken away from this world, and it's amazing.
That's quite a remarkable thing, isn't it? I mean,
yes,
it's nice if you are a performer on stage. The moment the curtain falls, it's over, and this is a different thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm still finding out things. That doll you sent me a picture of. I didn't know until sometime last year that someone done that. I didn't even know the last name of Tony. That was not in the script. And you see that there are people out there that know more about it than do I.
I mean, that's got to be kind of mind blowing to have a toy of your likeness and you're not just immortalized in the film, but you're immortalized in these figurines that'll be sitting up on people's shelves and passed down to their kids. And
although they didn't do him any favors, we must know, we got to settle it right now. Or do you really wear like a size 8? Why did what was that feet thing about? Please tell me that you could really not fit those shoes.
I could really not fit those shoes.
That's an astute observation right there.
Thank you, man.
No, I mine are 12, and I don't really know how that
Bruce wishes.
That would have been a funny ride if he was running around in 12s. That would have been harder than doing barefoot.
It would have given it a completely different take, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like clown shoes. Is there? I know you said that you were there for a limited amount of time. But before we moved on, I just wanted to ask if there is any particular memory from the production that we haven't covered that you'd like to share.
There are. I just don't know how interested you are in the food they were serving. I remember that we were being treated very well. That's something that I can say about American production as compared to everybody else's. I've always been treated extremely well, and that you may think it doesn't really matter all that much for the outcome of the film, but it certainly mattered for my well-being.
So as the character who has ho, ho, ho plastered across his shirt, do you consider Die Hard to be a Christmas film or no?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That settles it. I don't want to hear anybody else. Guys. He said it, and there you go.
He knows what he's doing there. So before we say goodbye, it doesn't even have to be about film. It could just be any words from your heart. Is there any parting words you would like to leave with the audience or of the world that we live in nowadays?
Be kind.
That's perfect.
It's that simple. Really it is.
Yeah. Andreas, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today, for being so awesome to jump on that intro with us on such short notice. You were an absolute pleasure to talk to. I really appreciate you coming on.
No, really, no sweat at all. It was fun. I enjoyed myself, and I wish you all the best with your ongoing project.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Take good care.
You too. Have a great day. Night.
All right. We want to thank our guests there, guys. Those were...
I got to give a huge shout out to Andreas for being so cool to come on and do that intro with us.
Oh, yeah. Dude, you're an actor. You should do some acting sometime.
And a little behind the scenes on that. He quite literally got the script for that mere hours before it was time to do our interview and was still cool enough to not only do it, but fucking kick ass at it.
Are you talking about me or Andreas? Because everything you just said went with exactly, I got the script right at the same time. I kicked ass and I was so cool with it.
That is all true, but we have yet to actually do our part. For now, he is One Take Tony.
I don't read script reads me.
All right, let's get into Fucks Given.
All right, guys, now it's time to get into Fucks Given, where any given movie we do, we're going to tell you how we really fucking feel about it. Durden, take us away.
So we're going to start off with what we would have changed or improved upon in Die Hard, and then get into our review.
All right. So the one thing that I would have changed in Die Hard is the one everybody wants to know. I know what you're going to think. You went on IMDb. You're super sleuth. Let me guess, you would have changed the ambulance. No. I can give a fuck about it. The movie is so great, we overlook things sometimes. Just like you overlook continuity errors. That's one thing I'm not going to overlook. I'm not proud of it, but I think I know a little bit something about people being lynched and hung. Carl is hung 25 fucking feet in the air with a chain that looks like it goes on a Ford truck. We don't see Carl for all of 30 fucking minutes.
We see him right after that moment, haunting John McClane. It's an error in the film.
I'm going. It better be.
He is haunting John McClane right after he's hanging him by the chain. When John McClane leans against the pole, you could see over his shoulder the actor who played Carl just kind of back there.
Well, I don't give a fuck because that's not good enough for me. Even if he is back there, I hate the ending, and what I'm trying to say about this is I hate it because they wrapped it up in a bow, and that's how I know it's a Christmas fucking movie, because they had to give Carl, who should be in jail, Al, who should be in jail now, because you're not supposed to have your service pistol and using it, okay? You're supposed to have that gun that Will Ferrell had in the other guys, the little wooden gun. He's supposed to have that, but he doesn't. My point is this. Carl was just fucking hanging 25 feet suspended in the air. And even if he did somehow get down, which he shouldn't have gotten down from, bitch, you're dead. Yeah. You're not. He gets up from his grandmother's cover and it's like, oh yeah, Al needs somebody to kill. Why not me? And I'm like, no, you can't be there, guy. You were just hanging up there. You can't be down here getting shot by. You died twice. I only get to live once and die once. I would love to know what it's like to die twice. So if you want to ask me, I get it. No, I take that back. It is a perfect film. It's called Die Hard. He can't die. This is about Carl. Yeah. And that's my theory. This has nothing to fucking do with Bruce Willis. It is all about Carl the Conqueror. There you go. And that's what the fuck I change.
I had an accident.
Fuck, he was 25. What is this fucking Circus du Soleil? I understand he was a dancer, not a necromancer. What the fuck was going on? He was literally just hanging up there. We saw him die on screen. Carl fucking Winslow, Al Sharpton, whoever the fuck he is, pulls out his service pistol, which should not be issued to him, and guns him down.
Yeah, I didn't have anything as far as what I would change because I think, this is it is a perfect film as far as I'm concerned. But now that you mention that,
damn it, man,
they should have left him dead, because that would have been so like Shakespearean poetic to that both him and his brother were killed by McClane with something involving snapping
their neck. Right. Like, come on, bro. Like. Jesus Christ. Here's the thing. It's still a classic. That's how good this fucking movie is. I'm willing to take, and I literally just thought about that on the last rewatch. I'm like, wait a minute. Is that fucking Carl? Because initially I just thought it was one of the other terrorists. It's Carl, reincarnated.
It's like the only reason why they brought him back is to give
Reginald Ben Johnson the ending.
So what would have been funny is to leave Carl dead, but still let Al Powell have his moment. McClane and Holly are coming out. Here comes the daughter running up to them. It triggers him.
Oh, man.
He just can't stop.
I shot another kid.
I shot a kid.
While that shouldn't be funny,
roll credits. Merry Christmas.
Hell, the follies, ollie. Yeah, so that's what I would have changed, man. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. I was really trying hard to find something, to find something as I was watching it that, like, I got to the point where I was even relying on nitpickiness to like find something that I would change that would make me enjoy the movie more, and I was at a loss. So
until I just said what I just said. Carl was hanging.
No, I totally agree with that. It is a flaw, but it doesn't change how enjoyable the entire movie is for me.
I haven't even seen that online. I'm pretty sure it's out there somewhere. He was hanging. Okay, you know what? Okay.
Up and down the
ceiling, yo.
Up and down the shaft.
Okay.
Get it on there tight.
And with that being said, so I'm sorry, I have to get my fucks given now since I did that, right? No, or do I have to get?
Yeah, we'll get into fucks given. Before we do ours, I saw one. There's just an interesting tidbit regarding the critiques of the film.
Rest in peace, Mr.
Roger Ebert was one of the few critics to give this a negative review. The main reason he did this was because he hated the character Chief Dwayne Robinson. He said the character was unnecessary, useless, dumb, and he prevented the movie from working.
I want a debriefing. You got some things to answer for, mister.
He did like the sequels and would later change his opinion on the original.
He was definitely wrong about that. He actually united everybody in hating him. So
yeah. Roger Ebert. Yeah, that just goes to show.
Wow.
Critics.
Wow.
All right, now let's get into our critique.
Is yours longer or short? You go.
I mean, you're seeing it.
You go.
It's a bit.
You go.
The first thing that I wanted to talk about was the pacing of the movie, the phenomenal pacing of the movie. And I remember last night when I said, God, it has to be the longest Die Hard.
I said it doesn't feel that way.
I had to start, and I started it at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And yeah, you said it will not feel like that. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It was like an hour into the movie, and I thought it was like 20, 30 minutes in. Like, the pacing is so good. And just to give an example of how well this movie is paced, and people out there writing scripts, this is a good, this movie is a perfect blueprint for you. And there's actually something online that does a breakdown of the, of like the treatment for how Die Hard, that the script was written, the treatment that they referred to put the script together. It's really good to look at if you're going to be getting into a script writing. But the pacing in this movie, so in the first 2 minutes, you know who John is, what he does, his general attitude, and a key vulnerability is established. Within 5 minutes of the film, the relationship with his wife is established, also setting up his primary motivation as a character. By 10 minutes running time, the location of the film is set. By 18 minutes, the antagonists are introduced. By 30 minutes in, the antagonist's motivations are revealed, and stakes are established when Hans kills Holly's boss, letting us know that this is about to be a life or death scenario. It's not just hostages and robbery. This dude is willing to shoot somebody in the head.
He won't be joining us for the rest of his life.
Before any of the shit gets started, you know that what kind of situation you're dealing with. That's within 30 minutes. And then by 40 minutes in, the game is all the way on. The stakes are quickly raised again, establishing a new conflict when McClane kills Carl's brother. And at that point, they have you locked in for a ride that just is perfectly laid out, like a beautiful roller coaster for the 2 hours. For 2 hours and 12 minutes, I will say it felt like no longer than an hour 20 tops. The action is great, but the banter is what really makes this film.
Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
Most action stars are concerned more with being a badass, but McClane is the ultimate wise ass. The nature of his character makes Die Hard a thrill to watch because of his inability to de-escalate a situation.
Welcome to the party, pal!
To see a class clown be thrust into a situation like this has you anticipating every witty encounter that comes.
I
I'm not the one who just got butt fucked on national TV, Dwayne.
Him and Gruber not physically facing off until the climax of the film. They're in a masterfully written battle of wits through most of the movie, like watching a game of 3D chess that has explosions and gunfights as a bonus. Die Hard manages to create one of the most endearing buddy cop friendships and one of the most intriguing conflicts between the hero and villain of a movie, all accomplished through occasional interactions over walkie-talkies, which is insane. And like the excitement for McClane, like the excitement that we feel for McClane to finally come face to face with Gruber is cultivated through the entire movie to pay off at the end. We also get a similar payoff when he finally sees Al face to face, and they have their embrace. And like action films today have lost that. They care solely about how big can the explosions be, how fucking sending Fast and the Furious to space, like just
Rumble in the jungle.
Yeah, like this. What made this movie so good was the rich characters. Like when you're in a situation like this, you have to care about the people that are threatened, or else you just don't give a shit. You're literally watching it for it's just fluff. I mean, that's fine if that's what you're looking for. I mean, sometimes it's good, but this was high art as far as action films were concerned. With all that said, I give this shit a 5. 5 flying fucks.
Okay. All right, guys. That was Durden's review. As far as I am concerned with this film, the first time I saw it, the 10th time I saw it, the 100th time I saw it, even till watching it last night again, it made me look at it as if I'd never seen it before. I literally was watching it on the edge of my seat like I didn't know what was going to happen. And just as a review of the film, again, one thing about this is that you did say was true when you were talking about John McClane. John McClane was born, and when John McClane was born, so was Die Hard. Die Hard literally triggered. It was the father of all the films to follow that tried to copy that makeup of it. So in that alone, it makes this film successful. And literally, it was the first time the everyday man said, that could be me. And one of the beautiful things that you did mention was that 3D cat and mouse game. As the way I see it, here's one man in Hans Gruber who's planned out every single thing to the final T except for John McClane. And here's John McClane who's not planned out anything whatsoever, and yet they go throughout this whole thing, and just like you say, chess, sending their rooks, their pawns, this, that, and the other. Like, you got John McClane using people from the outside, and like I say, even all the things there that are going on, this ultimate game of cat and mouse that's going on, and you're just like, man, wow. And again, not only does the movie pay off, it pays you off earlier with a quick reach around where Gruber and him meet, but it's not Gruber and him, it's Bill Clay and John McClane.
Please, God, no, you're one of them, aren't you?
And then finally they meet again. So it's like meeting the boss before the boss. So just all in all, between the acting in the film, even the female heroism, which was very bold for the late 80s. They made women were just women in distress, this, that, and the other. But Holly Gennaro was basically the leader of the employees. Who put you in charge? You did. When you killed my boss, you know what I'm saying? Like, all those little things, they're not scared to take a chance, not scared. And she even says it early in the movie, like, when Bruce was like, you changed your name, she was like, well, they said, maybe he like, you are a married woman. Like, see, it shows like, not every man in the audience, like, damn, sounds like my wife bitching. And again, I say the word bitching just in general of how they set the tone. It's like we said with No Country for Old Men, when he said, shut up before I go back there and fuck your face, or something, whatever he said to her. You got all these elements in the film. You got action, the everyday's man. You got, even they didn't even go over the top with Argyle. They could have made him overly black, you know what I'm saying? But no, he was just listening to music. He was concerned. This is my first day on the job. I'm nervous. He's acting, and as when we spoke with Day earlier, he said, this one, he was the first time he really had to act. And so when you think about all the elements of this film, and then to still figure out they were writing the film and figuring it out as they go, I don't know how the fuck that happens, because in any film I've ever done, everything's been there prior to the beginning, as far as at least what we thought the film was going to be. So
yeah, they were improvising through the process,
as they are
much
going
like
along.
John McClane was in the actual movie.
There you go. So which then further lets me know, shout out to the fucking editor who had to piece this thing together based all these concepts. So with that being said, all in all, even though I didn't agree with the ending, even though there was a necromancer that came back to life, the Undertaker's little brother, who came back to life at the end, this film, five out of 5, man. 5 flying fucks. And that goes to show you something. A film doesn't have to be perfect to get a 5.
No.
But when you change the genre, when you become a cult classic, when the Smithsonian of films is telling you, hey, this belongs here, then it damn sure belongs here with their TTFT.
That's an easy average 5. I think that might be the first one. Perfect 5.
Yeah.
So
as long as they say it's a Christmas movie, we're good. If they keep trying to fuck with us, it's going to get a 4.5.
Ho ho ho!
Merry Christmas.
All right, Die Hard. I mean, you guys already knew.
Yeah, you did.
Welcome
to the party, pal.
Come
in attractions.
Before we say goodbye, be sure to click the subscribe button and ring the bell to get notified when we release new content. And everyone knows someone who loves Die Hard, so click that share option and send a message with a link to the episode, to this episode, to the Die Hard fans of Die Hard that you know. A recommendation from you beats the hell out of a self-promotion from us, so we hold our chin high and humbly profess that we need you.
Now, one more thank you to Aimbot Energy for sponsoring TTFT and also for including the ingredient taurine, which is one of the most important ingredients in the world. Check them out, give them a shot, link in the description.
Did you hear that, Day? Mr. Argyle, put that Red Bull away. Hit up aimbotenergy.com, TTFT.
Tell them we sent you.
Yes.
Hey, you know the number. Use it.
For those of you who will be traveling in the coming weeks, safe travels to you and the warmest wishes to everyone as we approach the holiday season. It has been one hell of a year. Be kind to each other.
And if you didn't get it when we first said it earlier, hey, Yippee Ki-yay, melon farmers!
Goodbye, 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 goodbye.
Why don't you subscribe? It'll last longer.